World Series. I think if that's not your goal going into every season, you're doing this thing wrong.
Kansas City's home for Major League Baseball. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Z-Trip is hosting a job fair on April 7th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at their downtown location in the heart of KC at 1300 Lydia Avenue, KC Mo 64106. On-the-spot interviews will be conducted. Be a part of the transportation revolution. Z-Trip is now hiring mechanics, shuttle drivers, limo drivers, dispatchers, and paratransit drivers. Z-Trip offers competitive pay and great benefits. Join the team at Z-Trip. See you April 7th at 1300 Lydia Avenue, KCMO.
Sports Talk powered by fans. Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. The power of sports.
The Kansas City Comets have advanced to the MASL playoff semifinals. The Comets will be in action this Thursday night, April 1st, and Saturday, April 3rd at 7 p.m. for games 1 and 2 of the semifinal round. If the Comets win the series, they'll advance to the MASL championship. Tickets for the Thursday and Saturday sessions are on sale now for one low price for any seat in the house. And all seats are socially distanced for fan safety. Get your Kansas City Comets playoff tickets today by calling 888-9-COMETS or by visiting Ticketmaster.com.
Your home for the Final Four. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
On the baseline, Giroux runs the baseline, a bounce into the corner. It's scooped up in the corner. There will be no foul. And the Cougars claw their way to the Final Four for the first time since 1984.
We'll have coverage of both games on Saturday. And Monday night, the national championship will be right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Isn't this a sports show?
Read it one more time. What is it?
Let me click on it so I can get the full thing.
Yeah, what's the product description?
Okay, here we go. Push Pops Bubble Fidget Sensory Toys. Oh, well, come on. Okay, here we go. Start over.
Yeah, one breath, please. One breath.
Almost entirely.
Push Pops Bubble Fidget Sensory Toys. Funny relief, stress, desktop game, soft squeeze toy, logical reasoning, training toys for adults, children, Among Us, Blue.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Here we go. Sweet'em Signatures, magnetic fingering, magnetic ring fidget spinner, toy upgraded hand spinner for stress relief, Christmas and birthday gift for kids, friends, and family.
Magnetic what?
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
For $50, you can get a dinosaur electric train set with remote control, smoke, LED light, sound, dinosaur world playset, dinosaur track.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
We're back. We got Chiefs news. We got updates on the fidget toy that I bought on Amazon during the show last episode. We've got NCAA things. We've got some stories that aren't quite as fun, but are probably more important in the middle of the Chiefs' offensive line. We got Royals news, a disappointing way to start the season. Bada bing, bada boom. What a way to begin a year that was, so very much about hope and what comes next and all of the optimism and whatnot. Gets derailed by what I'm going to choose to believe is another incident with a luggage accident. I don't know that to be true, but that's what I'm recklessly speculating on right now. And that's what we're going to cover over the course of today's show. I'm Joshua Brisco. The big voice guy said my name already, but Rudy Salazar right here, Beards McFly on the other side of the glass. I will give an update on what the intro there was about. Also, it was a true joy hearing Rudy hear himself saying all of that for the first time because I think it really caught him off guard.
I was impressed. I was impressed with my ability to say random words well together.
The really concerning thing about the whole fidget toy situation, which, by the way, you want to enjoy this show that occasionally steps into visual jokes on an audio medium. You can watch the show on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels. If we're live doing the show, we're live on those places. I did get the little fidget toy that I had ordered during that segment. It has arrived. It's 3 little individual magnetic sort of plastic rings that, when all together, sort of resemble a fidget spinner in shape, but it doesn't work that way. It is pretty much as satisfying as I was hoping it would be. I do have one sort of overarching concern about this taking us into the future of almost entirely sports. It's that it's not silent. Now, right there, I'm up, by the microphone. If I'm over off to the side, probably not going to be a huge issue, especially if we're all talking. I'm sure it would be silent if I just held it under the desk. The issue then is I'm just now, fidgeting with my hand under the desk, and that's going to be an issue for Twitch.
Yeah, you're fine.
So that, I will say, though, $5 investment for this particular little 3-ring magnetic little, the various ways Rudy said it in the intro, I think, are still applicable.
Yep.
I'm not going to repeat them for, just a series of reasons.
I mean, you could try to top me if you want to. You're probably going to fail.
No, I'm not. Again, for extensive number of reasons, I'm not going to attempt to do that.
Not good enough. I get it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm coming from.
Very scared. Scared, some would say.
A lot of fear in my heart, no question. Rudy, can you hop over and shut the blind that extra foot? I'm wondering if that's going to help. We are in this space now that we're going to get to occupy for the remainder of the summer, spring and summer, it's a little better. Where we do the show with the light out now, which is kind of nice, but also does present some issues to the aforementioned video streams. What are you smirking at, Beards?
Nothing. I was just agreeing with you.
I don't feel like you agree with a smirk all that often. That's sort of an alarming. I don't know. It's alarming to see you on the other side.
In my head, the way I was phrasing that was, it's great now during doing the show in the daylight. The problem is the windows that we have in the studio get to face the full wrath of the sun all the time when we're doing a show.
It does go down pretty quickly.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's just something that I sort of was realizing as we were monitoring the video streams. Other video stream note, by the way, I have to make a point of this at the front end, is that you finally officially getting a full, almost entirely sports welcome out for the Quad City River Bandits, the Royals' new minor league affiliate that they added through kind of the minor league reconstruction. Mm-hmm. I love a black and white hat. I wear a lot of black and white, generally speaking. And I was perusing their marketplace online because I want to support this new venture. And also because their mascot is an outlaw raccoon. And if there's anything more my aesthetic than outlaw raccoon, I don't know what it is. It might be like
outlaw possum?
Jedi. I was going to say Jedi possum.
Yeah, that's good.
I think I think it's got to, it's a tough ask, though, to get more on brand than an outlaw raccoon. So, welcome officially to the family, and to my hat family, Quad City River Bandits.
I am going to miss, the Wilmington,
sounds like it.
What is their, no, I'm just trying to remember, the Blue Rocks.
Blue Rocks,
the Blue Rocks. Their mascot, though, is I guess a moose, I would assume.
It is a moose.
Yeah.
That's true.
It is, it was good colors. I like the baby blue, but anytime you get a River Bandits, and I knew there was another one, I just couldn't remember who the other team was. They added the Columbia Fireflies. And I'm here for some fire.
Wait, is that a Royals?
Yes,
I almost bought a Fireflies hat in my bunch of minor league hat buying.
The Fireflies are the low A team.
I didn't know that.
The River Bandits are the high A team.
That's honestly disappointing that I did not pull the trigger on that, because I like the name. Their logo is pretty good. I like the name Fireflies for a minor league baseball team.
Yeah, it's a good name.
Very good Midwestern. One of the reasons that made me think about it.
You have to have glow-in-the-dark jerseys then.
I think their logo is like a neon lime or something.
Yeah, it's kind of obviously it looks like it's a bug, obviously, with its wings out, and it's kind of got a little fire almost. Like the design of its body is kind of like it's all like a little flame. Which is in that lime, that neon green kind of lime.
That's a good look. It kind of glows off the page. I like it. I had a friend who spent most of his life in California and then lived in Kansas City, back in the house that I don't remember how I referred to the house as I was doing shows over on ESPN Kansas City while living there. All my roommates that told me to stop wearing lobster shorts and space hoodies and whatnot.
Basement Darren.
Not Darren, though. Other basement occupant, which was Basement Nick. But Nick lived in California for pretty much his whole life, and so whenever he got to Kansas City, seeing Fireflies I've always called them lightning bugs. And then there's that Owl City song. That Owl City song is called Fireflies. The actual bug to me is called lightning bug. But it was like he'd never seen them before.
I think I think it was a firefly. I think it was firefly. No, I think as a kid,
what did you used to call them?
I think as a kid I was lightning bug, and then maybe around teenage years it evolved to firefly. I want to say I think that's it. By the way, if you want to support your new Columbia Fireflies, you can buy a promo pack for $50 that comes with a Chicharrones piggy bank. Chicharrones.
Rudy, what? Hi, I'm officially Josh Salazar now. I took it from you.
I never seen that one.
Chicharrones.
A piggy bank, and it's like it's a pig, and it's got the like the body parts, right? Like everything's kind of like mapped
cuts
out.
Of meat,
the cuts of meat.
That's also them.
Yes.
That was their I think that was their they had the Mexican everyone had the alt for like a week or whatever.
Yeah, you also get a baseball with the logo on it. Dancing Mason bobblehead. Dancing Mason is their mascot. He is I'm trying to.
I would love for you to find that next word.
I'm just trying to think of how to describe him. Like a taller, happier Grouch. Who's not in a trash can. Oscar the Grouch.
Can I
Sorry,
see?
Yeah. But he's no longer in a trash can.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you get a David Wright bobblehead because David Wright would have played for him at some point. They used to be the Mets minor league.
Okay, weird.
And then you also get a little cooler tube and a hat for $50. So get a little bit of everything.
Okay, so I'm tweeting right now at JB Brisco, and then I'm going to start talking about Chief stuff.
You get a $2. It's on sale. It was normally $5. Columbia Fireflies affiliate baseball that has the Mets logo on it. It's now $2.
Probably won't spring for that one. But maybe a hat. The
website still says Met sale on it.
What do you call those little bugs with the light up butts? Fireflies, lightning bugs, something else. Poll question is going up momentarily here at JB Brisco.
Ooh, so they changed actually the logo. So the logo of the Firefly, or the logo's the same, but the coloring's different. It used to be blue and orange instead of that neon green, which makes sense.
Mets colors and whatnot.
Had Mets colors, yeah.
Beards, you Firefly or a lightning bug guy?
I don't remember what I was.
What are you now? If I say quick, spicy bug, what's it called?
They do have neon green.
Probably Firefly.
That's fine. I'm not mad at it.
I think I was lightning bug as a kid, and then Firefly. It evolved to Firefly at some point in my life. I would say now I'm a Firefly, but at some point in my life, I was definitely a lightning bug.
I saw Beards marked that, and I just like the idea of. So at some point in my life, I was definitely a lightning bug.
Josh, they have a Columbia Fireflies pride fitted cap, and it's got some AES energy.
So I saw that actually. I think I had it in my cart and did not have the size for my big fat head. Yeah, I actually saw that. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Like
they've also got the Copa caps, that's what the
Chicharrones was from, right?
I went with that because I was like, how do you say Chicharrones?
already forgot.
You also can get a. This is a really cool T-shirt. It's basically it's a mason jar, and it's got like sparkles around it, and kind of like on the inside, like it's full of lightning bugs.
Plus, I don't think we've gotten the full
there's a tie-dye snapback.
Oh man, these are all extremely up my alley. I just need
you
big fat head size.
You can get a Copa face mask.
With a pig with all the cuts detailed on it.
Cuts on your face.
It is really exciting.
What was upgraded? We got some.
Yeah.
Oh my holy bleep! Sorry, this is the last one.
We're redoing the segment we did about the fidget toys.
This is the last one. You can get an adult gray Fireflies Tim Tebow player tee. It's number 15. Get a Tim Tebow.
I mean, I'm gonna try to do that during the next break, probably before they all sell out.
It is a Tim Tebow.
I'm gonna. Hurry. I might have to.
They've also got a Star Wars T-shirt.
The Tim Tebow one is too funny. I did not think about them previously being a Mets affiliate and the implications of them having at one point had Tim Tebow on the roster.
You can also get a jersey that was game worn Riverbank Zoo jersey.
By Tim Tebow? By Tim Tebow?
Well, maybe.
Wow.
It says sold out, sorry. But it just had a gorilla on it.
Huh.
It was just like an actual picture of a gorilla. You can get a park ranger jersey, though, where like the uniform looks like a park ranger's like button up.
Did you see the thing on the very top of the shop section of their website?
Which part?
The team store is closed till further notice. Ballpark pickup is still a shipping method if you live in the area.
I mean, I assume that's like in person. I imagine you can still buy online. They just probably aren't letting people in because of COVID. That'd be my guess.
You know what? A fair follow-up.
Yeah. I could be wrong. I just feel pretty confident.
You know what I think it was on the rainbow ones? I feel like it was navy instead of being. I was wanted it to be black, and instead it's a navy.
Just found a 3/4 quarter flux hoodie. That's right up my alley.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. Here's how we're gonna get today's show back on track.
Yeah, my bad.
Here's what we're gonna.
It just says beer and baseball.
My bad, guys. My bad. You can get a live Firefly and an order of chicharrones for $97 on their website right now. My bad. Back to the show.
You can also get a pink jersey if you want. Game worn.
So we're going to take a break. We're going to, just get our collective AES shopping cart together and see if we want to send any more money to the Quad City River Bandits and to the Columbia Fireflies, new Royals affiliates. Whenever we come back, go ahead, Rudy.
I just found the Tim Tebow with the grill on it, and it's for sale. Doesn't have his name on it, but it's got the 15.
I need to say Tebow on the back.
That's true.
I'm gonna just search the shop for Tebow. We'll get a oh no oh boy, it's an ugly shirt, dude.
Beers, I just found a Star Wars one where it's like if you put it on, you'd basically be like you'd look like Chewbacca.
The Tebow shirt, the only one remaining. $15 is a small, so I don't know if that's gonna work for me personally.
You can get in there.
I would basically be wearing a sports bra.
You can get in there.
But it says Tebow on the back, so
it's all good.
I'm covered by not just that shirt partially, but the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Fully clothed.
And Tim Tebow.
Same thing. That's what I said. We're going to take a break. Whenever we come back, we're going to talk about the Chiefs' new last two roster additions. One that I think is, you know what I'm going to say? I think they're both interesting in their own unique ways. I love all of my children equally, and all the Chiefs players are my children. Now that metaphor really got away from me. We'll come back and talk about the Chiefs' two new additions we haven't gotten the chance to talk about yet since the last edition of Almost Entirely Sports, and I'm going to take Rudy's laptop and throw it off the balcony.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
If you could create your dream engagement ring, what would it look like? Come to Shane Company and let us help you bring your vision to life. You'll be delighted when you see our selection of unique ring settings, designed in-house and meticulously crafted to look beautiful from every angle, in platinum, yellow gold, white gold, and our signature shade of rose gold. In addition to the classics, we have trending styles, stunning halo designs, including popular hidden halos, elegant floral rings, intricate vintage looks, Art Deco designs, and more. For your center stone, choose a sparkling diamond in your favorite shape, or perhaps a vibrant ruby or colorful sapphire. Our sapphires come in over a dozen colors, like cognac, raspberry, and blue-green. All our stones are natural, ethically sourced, and hand-picked for their beauty. We can't wait to help you bring your vision to life. This ring represents your love story. Why not make it perfect?
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Hey, it's Todd Lebo here for CertaPro Painters. They've done great work at my house. Inside, outside, it's always great. From the estimate to the prep work to the cleanup, worry-free all the way. Give them a call for a free estimate, 1-800-GO-CERTA. That's 1-800-GO-CERTA, or go to CertaPro.com for more information. Now is a great time to update your home. There's no reason to wait. Call 1-800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com today to experience the CertaPro Painters difference for yourself. It's CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting.
Hey guys, looking for a new rewarding career? Check out the Operating Engineers Local 101 Apprentice program. In addition to paid on-the-job training with union construction companies, you'll learn to operate all types of heavy equipment, including cranes, bulldozers, backhoes, graders, scrapers, trenchers, loaders, compactors, pavers, asphalt and concrete plants, drilling and boring machines, and other specialized construction machinery. You'll receive great benefits and a pension plan as well. Call today, 816-640-2336. That's 816-640-2336.
You used to get excited for this time of year, remember? Spring. The beautiful days outside golfing, jogging, walking the dogs, and playing with the kids. But now, not so much. No outdoor activity because it hurts to move. It's that chronic joint pain that you just can't seem to shake. Until now. The solution? QC Kinetics and their regenerative cell treatments. Hey, this is Stephen St. John, and these new generation treatments are the latest way to combat nagging, debilitating pain without dreaded surgeries and long recoveries. The medical professionals at QC Kinetics use amazing treatments that help your body heal itself at the source of the pain, your back, knees, shoulders, and hips. Don't watch another beautiful day go by. Get rid of the pain. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299, right off 435 and State Line. 816-412-6299. Call QC Kinetics today and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough, but you might be making it harder on yourself than necessary. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. It's time to upgrade to NetSuite. Stop paying for multiple systems that don't give you the information you need when you need it. Ditch the spreadsheets and all the old software you've outgrown. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Everything you need, all in one place instantly. Whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in revenue, save time and money with NetSuite. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Let NetSuite show you how they'll benefit your business with a free product tour at netsuite.com/radar. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/radar. netsuite.com/radar.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Let's take a break. I don't think this hour is getting salvaged. This hour is going to be really disappointing to everyone who is like, oh, he did a show with Bobby Bell and Bill Moss. I bet that's really interesting. I wonder what else he did tonight. And then it's just a long,
Something else.
It's
just
man.
a Venus flytrap.
A what?
A Venus flytrap. Yeah. You're like, oh, look at all this normal Chiefs talk we do with interesting Chiefs players, and then just they fly inside and snaps close, and they're trapped here now. It's Almost Entirely Sports. They're trapped here.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Okay, now I'm the one that has to close the Columbia Fireflies team shop page on my
yeah, you do.
On my laptop. You can get a little cap with
you have a show to do.
With little bear ears on it for a baby.
Be professional. I would never.
I've got a lot of sides. Here's the thing, man. I almost said a phrase I'm glad is not on the radio. Dang it. The two that I was like most ready to just hit and to drop into the cart, neither one of them are even close to being available in my size. I have a big head, and it really limits my hat buying options.
I'm happy you said it.
Oh, I nearly phrased it in a much more sort of problematic way because it would have been turned into a liner that would have been absolutely unstoppable.
Do you want to restart the segment and you can say that so that we have that liner?
No, I'm good actually. Instead, what I would absolutely love to do here is talk about the two players the Chiefs have signed over these last couple of days. In fact,
never heard of them.
Jaren Reed, I haven't even said their names yet. Jaren Reed spoke to the media today, and boy, Rudy is so busy shopping during the first segment that he couldn't turn his iPad volume down for the second one.
No, I hit the
Rudy's plus minus right now is atrocious.
It just took the keyboard a second to pop up. Or
I don't care.
I don't
care. I don't care. You know how you don't really care why the dog pooped on the carpet.
That's
you just gotta rub its nose in it.
That's a good point.
Rub your nose in the poop.
I mean, you probably want to make sure it's not like a medical condition, right? Like make sure there's not some underlying medical thing there. But good point.
I mean, checkmate. Sure. Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. All right.
Make sure it didn't eat anything it wasn't supposed to eat.
Beards, you can leave the mic on and everything. Can you take Rudy to the vet, please? Need to figure out why he was pooping on the show.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you looking out.
Bleep me, man. So the Chiefs have signed two players.
Never heard of them.
One of which was pretty surprising and not at all surprising, and then another one which was not at all surprising and kind of surprising. You may say, Josh, what the bleep is the difference between the two? I'd love to tell you. So they signed Jaren Reed. He was recently released from the Seahawks as a cap casualty. One of, I would say, the relatively few actual kind of middle-class NFL players that ended up being a part of the what was the incoming massacre is I don't remember. It was some NFL insider had at one point sort of billed the oncoming offseason of cap cutting measures and everything. Well, Jaren Reed did actually get released by the Seahawks, and it sounds like, from what he said today, and I saw Nate Taylor had written about this in The Athletic already, that he took less money to come to Kansas City as opposed to the other players of note as of late who took less money to go somewhere other than Kansas City. But Jaren Reed wanted to come to a team that could win a Super Bowl, and also he comes to a defensive line with, at least in theory, a ton of talent around him. This move was not at all surprising in the way that there was a legitimate talent available for a pretty good cost. I don't think it's life-changing. We have Matt Derrick on the show tonight, by the way, and we'll talk to Seth Kaiser tomorrow, not their normal days. We didn't have a show Monday or Tuesday, so we're getting Matt on Wednesday and Seth on a Thursday this week. But I don't want people to immediately, there's some stuff around what Jaren Reed could do on this defensive line that I think is really interesting. I don't want people to immediately think about Jaren Reed replacing Chris Jones so Chris Jones can kick out to the edge, at least on first and second downs. I think they'll do that some, but it's only going to do Jaren Reed a disservice whenever he gets out there and doesn't play like Chris Jones, because he's a really good player, and Chris Jones is probably the second best interior pass rusher in the sport. You don't want to be directly compared to the absolute best thing at your position. It's going to make you look like a knockoff, and that I think Jaren Reed, deserves a better sort of place to thrive with that than to be directly compared to Chris Jones. He will at some points though play next to Chris Jones. Now, this is something that our little Chiefs boy Tucker DeFranco pointed out. Jaren Reed and Chris Jones both make the most sense as a 3-tech, as kind of the lighter defensive tackle of the two in the middle. Whenever you're running a 4-man front, you've got your edge rushers, and then you've got Chris Jones, and then you've got, think of someone stouter like Derrick Nottie, where you're not necessarily getting a bunch of pass rush penetration, but they're holding the middle of that defensive line, eating up some double teams and all that. If Jaren Reed plays in that role a good amount of the time, he will be a better pass rusher immediately than Derrick Nottie. And he's gonna, I would say ideally, is pretty much an equal run defender in terms of holding his ground there, despite not being that type of player as much. I have absolutely no issue with the Jaren Reed signing, to be incredibly clear. The Chiefs need more talent in places that they can get it. It is a 1-year deal where he is not necessarily coming to fill some massive needs that they overpaid. It's just, hey, you're a really good player. Maybe your best year was playing next to Frank Clark in Seattle. Do you want to come play with Clark and Chris Jones? You're never going to be the focal point of what the offense is preparing to do, which is a good thing because it means you're going to be set free a whole lot more often. And it's going to make the defense better. It's going to make the pass rush better whenever you're out there. That is all absolutely a good thing. We can dig into more of that in a little bit. The immediate implication there, and Louis Riddick of ESPN tweeted this right after the signing happened, which was, hey, you know what's going to happen here? Chris Jones is going to play more edge in this defense now. You'll have Reed essentially take Jones's spot in the middle of the defense. Jones will kick out to edge on first and second downs, and then in obvious passing down situations, typically third down, but in passing down situations, Jones moves back inside. You don't have to worry quite so much about having a Nottie type on the field to hold the ground in the middle of the defense. You put Reed and Chris Jones next to each other, and then you bring out Taco Charlton and have Frank Clark back on his side, where he would be for all 3 downs theoretically. And now you're essentially replacing Derrick Nottie with Taco Charlton as a pass rusher. That's great. That I understand why that's so alluring. I do think there's a place where maybe we could all learn a little bit of patience from a lesson we may or may not have learned in Madden back in the day. Sometimes you can cheat the system and move your third best defensive end to defensive tackle, and he goes from a 74 to a 94. You move a safety to linebacker, and all of a sudden, those little stat bubbles you could occasionally find, and and then expose the game in that way with a little positional shift that would not make sense in the real game. Alternatively, sometimes you try to do that and you find, that went the other way. Chris Jones' time at edge in a 4-3 base scheme, and the Chiefs are never really in base. I mean, I think that it's something like 75% they're in a total sub package. The other 25% of the time, they're very, very, very rarely just edge, like a traditional defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end, 3 linebackers, and they're all just kind of playing their gaps. Edge is not really how NFL defenses work, especially in the modern game. But he's gotten a little bit of that role in in some nickel packages, and he did it here and there with some kind of filling holes with some injuries even last year, and it's been fine. But Chris Jones's most dominant position has been as an interior pass rusher, which is also where he can be the most disruptive. If you said, hey, and this is somewhere where my opinion has changed a little bit over the course of the last several years of watching football. And again, the last few years, I think this has changed. Would you rather have a dominant interior pass rusher or a dominant edge rusher? At this point now, I'd rather have the dominant interior rusher. That interior pressure is so disruptive and simply a shorter line from point A to the quarterback. And so, look, if you can get great talent, you take it wherever you can. But I am not in love with, and maybe I'll get this wrong, but I'm not in love with the idea of moving Chris Jones from his best spot to his second best spot because Jaren Reed is here. I am very on board with the idea of having Jaren Reed, who can occasionally give Chris Jones a breather on second down, on 2nd and 5. You want to get Chris Jones off the field for a snap, that's fine. And then also, in passing downs, you bring in another capable, experienced and very solid interior pass rusher next to Chris Jones. And on the edges then are Frank Clark and then probably somebody not currently on the roster, even if it's Taco Charlton. All right, yeah, no, that I like a lot. I very much like the idea of having as much talent across that line at relatively reasonable price tags to make everybody else's job a little bit easier. The more talent you have in a cluster like that, the more difficult it is for any offense to totally scheme around one of those guys, and the better off they're all going to be. So that conceptually, I would hesitate to even try to come up with a reason to be against that type of move. It makes sense. The other thing right now, and this is not a place where I thought we were going to end up, or I'm particularly glad that we ended up, it's kind of a weird one. But if you go, wow, so he's not, the details of his deal aren't up on Over the Cap yet, so I'm going to have to go find the tweet that had the numbers. I didn't have that set yet. Paying him what I think will be as one of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think he'll be the 8th highest cap hit on the Chiefs this year. The thing that I didn't really think we'd end up at this point with is, well, what else were they going to do with that money? Like, rolling it over to next year, I don't particularly care for. Okay, it was 1 year, $7 million with 5 guaranteed. I wanted to say 176, but I thought I felt like it wasn't totally right, and I was right about being wrong. Welcome to the show, everybody. If he makes really anywhere between $5 and $7 million, he will be a higher cap hit this year than everyone on the team as currently constituted, besides Frank Clark, Tyrann Mathieu, Tyreek Hill, Anthony Hitchens, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. There are 7 dudes right now on the Chiefs salary cap that are set to have bigger cap hits this year than Jaren Reed. Is he going to be able to fully produce at will he be the 8th most important player on this team this year? No. But that's also not really how that money always works out. And on a 1-year deal, it's not the artificially deflated cap hit of a Joe Thuney where you're effectively moving that money down the line. The Chiefs can afford to pay him this year. It's an interesting experiment. I'm very interested to see how it ends up impacting the defensive line. This came up with Matt Verderam on Friday, and I saw in one of Nate's stories today. The Chiefs still very much seem to be interested in adding another veteran defensive end of some sort, an edge rusher of some sort. Maybe it's Melvin Ingram. Maybe it's somebody else. I would be pretty surprised, and as things currently stand, a little bit bummed if Chris Jones is their starting edge opposite Frank Clark in week 1. It wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm not panicking about that, but I'd be a little surprised, a little disappointed. And frankly, I think I would rather just have Chris Jones in his most impactful spot in the middle and have Taco Charlton starting at edge, when in reality, they're going to draft an edge. And it seems like they're probably still going to try to sign a veteran. But I think that's the quick, haven't talked about this story yet, view from me on Jaren Reed. Rudy, did I miss anything?
No, I mean, the thing is, I mean, like, we know how this team in Spags have valued the defensive line and just having a bunch of guys that you can rotate through.
Yep.
It's one of those things. I think both of us typically when Spags came in, it's a formula, or it's an evaluation that we would disagree with, right? Where it's more, hey, go after corners earlier in the round, find maybe some of these other guys like defensive linemen, like these rotational guys later.
Yeah.
For them, it's more of, no, we're going to throw numbers at the defensive line spot because we feel like we can find we can find overlooked corners who are going to do more than good enough to get the job done. And to their credit, like, it's worked, right? Like the corners have done their jobs. Now, Frank Clark has not been quite what we wanted. He's had his moments, but it's a move that makes sense, and it's a player who you don't necessarily expect to be expected to be available, but because of COVID and everything, now all of a sudden he becomes available. And while having money, I don't know who's in the free agency class for next year. I don't know if there's somebody who really sticks out where it's like, hey, having money to go get this guy, right? I don't see obviously the Chiefs doing anything like what the Patriots did this year, doing that next year. I'm not for just spending money to spend money, of course, but if you have a chance to go at good players, even if it's not necessarily the biggest position of need, I want to consider interior defensive line the Chiefs' biggest need by any means.
Yeah.
But you have a chance to add a good player and you have the money, there's no reason to hold on to that money for next year, because you just don't know when next year is going to bring, right? Worry about right now, worry about money next year. Also, salary cap is more than likely going to see a pretty big jump.
That's the thing also with that. We're the idea they can just roll the money over. Yeah. That's true, but $6 million next year is not the same value as $6 million this year.
And again, it's not like, you shouldn't go out and just spend money to spend money. Just because you have $10 million doesn't mean you should go give DeMarcus Robinson type receiver. Hey, we just have $10 million sitting around. You want it? Obviously you don't do that. But this is a good player who's shown who has been productive in the league, who fits what the Chiefs want to do. And it's if you got the money, even if it's not the biggest need, you just keep adding to it. And hopefully for what the Chiefs want to do, where the defensive line is as valuable as it is, adding more interior pressure will, in theory, help out Frank Clark. Ideally, will help out Taco Charlton, will help out Mike Dana, and who I assume will be a first 2-day draft pick at that edge rusher position. I'm all for having pressure up the middle. I'm with you there. That's where I would put my money at. Anytime you watch, whether it's Tom Brady as best, it's Patrick Mahomes as best, how do you disrupt those guys? It's obviously getting after them, but you get after them by getting pressure up the middle. If it's just guys coming around the edge, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, those guys have shown the ability to work around that time after time. When it's up the middle, that's when problem happens. That's when plays get disrupted. That's when Patrick Mahomes is in the Super Bowl running for his life because two guys have just busted up the middle, and now all of a sudden he's got nowhere to go.
And again, I think that the one element of this that's going to be kind of funny is that at this 6 months from now, I don't think we're really going to be talking about Jaren Reed that much.
Mm-hmm.
I just and that would probably be the argument against it, right? Where if you say, hey man, just give those snaps to Deshaun Watson, I do think that having a proven commodity, who by the way, again, he got his market value on the open market just now. In fact, he lost money by getting out of Seattle. If you wanted to say throw the numbers in terms of just a rotating bunch of bodies that that just play beside Chris Jones, like you said, I think that's probably where my inclination would be. I would have paid corners and maybe a pass rusher like Chris Jones. Yeah. And then not spent quite so much at linebacker and safety. But the Chiefs did, and it's worked out for them, especially with what they want to do defensively. That's all fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think that Jaren Reed's ultimately going to move the needle a whole bunch single-handedly, but he's a good player that's on the roster now. I will say, there a couple things from the Twitch I want to get to momentarily, but I was gonna see
he
where
can maybe
this
have
came
kind of an Emmanuel Ogba type production, but for more up the middle. I think that's probably realistic.
Yeah.
We're looking for a good situational player, right? Like you're not expecting him to come in and just dominate, but when he is, again,
and that's kind of an expensive situational player
for sure. And again, that's not. I don't know if that's what you should expect or if that's necessarily just what you're hoping for. But I think that is. I imagine what the Chiefs are looking at him as, like a guy who can come in and make plays when asked to make plays.
The other good grief. Listen, we just haven't had a show in a couple of days.
Been a while.
I just can't. My mouth doesn't work anymore. The one other thing there is, again, like, if this is so Chaotic Warrior said, this is leftover money from not getting Trent Williams. I don't like the idea of spending the cash just because it's burning a hole in your pocket and the market is getting thinner. They think he will help them be more effective getting after the quarterback this year, which also, by the way, I'm still not 1,000% sure this is the way that I would go after it. They did not get enough production last year for a team that paid Chris Jones and Frank Clark, and before Seth shows up a day early to punch me in the back of the head, Greg Marshall style, as we call it, I don't think it was Chris Jones's fault that was the case. I do think that was the case, though, which is interesting. But anyway, I think in a vacuum, the move makes total sense. With the specifics of the Chiefs roster and still where they have lacked, I think it makes a little bit less sense, but I'm not hurting over it. I think that the signing of Austin Blythe is the most interesting. It's less interesting in terms of the money and the impact that player could have, but it's way more impactful in terms of, and this is probably a funny way of doing it, but in terms of what hole he's going to fill and what he will provide for the Chiefs. I want to take a break before we talk about Blythe, but really quick from the Twitch stream, two very relevant, very important things. So Chaotic Warrior said, Josh, what size head do you have? I have a melon and they have my sizes.
Josh has a watermelon.
If I could order watermelon size hats, I would. This hat that I'm wearing right now is a 7 3/4 with a little bit of give, and it's very breathable. It's a nice hat from the Quad City River Bandit store. But I wish it was one size up. It's digging into my forehead a little bit. I wish it was a 7 7/8. My hair is also pretty long right now. I am officially now buying 7 7/8 hats when possible. In fact, I have one that is in the mail right now because I bought several to combine shipping and whatnot from the minor league store.
Smart.
Although they actually are getting shipped from separate locations, but it was one price for me. I think it worked out. I don't know. I'm probably just going to buy 7 7/8. I could squeeze into a 7 3/4 here. The other thing, though, don't mark that one, Beards. The other thing from Chaotic Warrior says the River Bandits have a fitted glow-in-the-dark hat. That's what I'm wearing. I don't know if at some point, once it's darker, if we can turn off the hallway lights and we can turn off the studio lights and just see. Why don't you flip the switch in here, Rudy? I don't think it's going to get dark enough. But I have not yet seen proof that this actually glows in the dark.
It's not glowing in the dark, but I think I can see almost like the material that lets you know it's glowing in the dark, right?
Maybe.
Where it's not glowing in the dark, but it looks like it's got the stuff that makes it glow in the dark.
I just wanted a black and white hat, so I'm totally okay with that. But it is a good hat that I'm very happy to have bought because I have an outlaw raccoon mascot on my head now. It's very on brand. Just very, very on brand. Also on brand. I want to talk about the Chiefs' center position. I thought Austin Ryder was going to be back, and I was half right. We'll talk about the Chiefs' new Austin starting center whenever we come back.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Have you ever heard of anyone crediting their success to just sitting around and doing nothing? Yeah, me neither. So why are you letting your hard-earned savings and retirement accounts just sit around and do nothing? Now is not the time to sit on the sidelines. Now is the time to make your money work as hard for you as you did for your money. Put your savings and retirement accounts into something that will work for you, like real gold and silver. No, not gold and silver stocks, but real gold and silver you can actually hold in your hand. So how do you get real gold and silver? By calling the Oxford Gold Group today, 833-600-GOLD. Now, the Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you need to know about owning real gold and silver. It's easier than you think. Call them now, the Oxford Gold Group, 833-600-GOLD to get your free gold and silver investment guide. And by the way, if you never decide to sell your gold or silver, the Oxford Gold Group will buy it back. And they don't charge you a penny when you sell them their materials. So get the Oxford Gold Group investment guide today and learn how easy it is to have real gold and silver delivered to your home or into your retirement account. Call the Oxford Gold Group, 833-600-GOLD. That's 833-600-GOLD.
Weekends are for whiskey-soaked prime rib cooked low and slow, finished over an open flame, and boozy brunches with your besties at Red Door Wood-Fired Grill, Kansas City's #1 upscale neighborhood joint. We just have one piece of advice for when you join us. Come hungry. Everything here is made from scratch, including our legendary chicken and waffles and the best Kansas City strip you'll ever eat for $20. Prepare yourself to take a tender, juicy bite of perfection. What are you waiting for? Reserve your table today at reddoorgrill.com or download our new app.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for NJ Diet. Are you still holding on to those winter pandemic pounds? Be slimmer before summer, since it only takes 40 days to lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds with NJ Diet. NJ Diet's program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet and workout regimen to help you keep it off. And if you don't want to do it alone, who does? NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You'll be fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You'll also get the doctor's personal email and phone number. NJ Diet is all natural, no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. Located close by in Overland Park, or you can watch live online video consultations from home. Call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. Or go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good. That's njdiet.com.
Foley Rental is your local equipment rental store for commercial, industrial, farm, and residential project needs with a large fleet of aerial lifts, generators, trench shoring, air conditioners, and concrete equipment. And Foley Rental offers a wide selection of machine attachments for skid steers, excavators, and loaders, all supported by over 400 certified technicians. Foley Rental, committed to you from the ground up. Call 855-RENT-FOLEY or visit FoleyRental.com.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Pretty sexy.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
So I got some part of the Chiefs center plans right. I got some parts of it. You know what? I'm not even going to take the L. I'm not even going to say I got any of it wrong.
I got a half. See, I also got a half right. I think we differ, though. You
First
thought
name?
it was going to be an Austin, and I was pretty confident it was going to be a Blythe.
Yeah, which was incredible because there's only the one. But you didn't think it was going to be
Austin
Blythe.
I didn't even know that Blythe existed.
Yeah. You know what that prediction is, Rudy? A real Blythe on your record.
I thought it was going to be Blythe Danner. Nah, it doesn't work.
Doesn't make any sense.
Got to find an actress with the last name Blythe.
Why don't you just go back into the Columbia Fireflies team shop and then shut up for 4 minutes?
Let's see.
I
thought it was Adam Blythe, British road cyclist. There we go.
Did we?
Bill Clinton was born William Blythe. That's who I thought the new center was going to be. Bill Clinton, his born name was William Blythe.
When did it? What?
I typed in famous Blythes, and it says Adam Blythe, Arthur Blythe, Betty Blythe, Bill Clinton, in parentheses, William Blythe, born 1946, 42nd American president.
I mean, I'm going to want more information on that by the end of the show, all right? That's just...
Yeah, I mean, hey.
His dad's...
stuff.
The biological father of Bill Clinton was William Jefferson Blythe Jr. Oh, he died 3 months before Bill Clinton was born.
Okay.
So I'm guessing there's a little last name, little switcheroo for his various parentage. That's enough information. I feel good. You do not have to continue down that rabbit hole. Thank you very much.
I won't say it out loud. I'm just curious.
I said you can move on, Rudy. We don't have to keep doing this.
It's been a while since we pulled that impression out.
That rabbit out of the hole. Get it? Because you're on a...
Now you're Pennywise?
I'm about to be. I'm about to.
Yep.
You're about to see my 12 rows of teeth whenever you absolutely against your own will start reading
I know.
Wikipedia.
I'm going to close it after this sentence. Clinton was born William Jefferson Blythe III. Close the page.
Did you say clothed the page?
Closed the page. Now I'm back on my top 21 free agents, and I know I said the Chiefs shouldn't just spend money to spend money, but the Chiefs should give all $10 million to Alex Smith right now.
So,
deserves it.
So the Chiefs signed Austin Blythe.
Not William
Clinton
Blythe.
Jr. Yeah.
The third.
And I really, if I would have had to put my money on what the Chiefs do going into, like, ahead of the draft, I would have said, ultimately, I think they get a 1-year deal done with Austin Ryder, and they absolutely will not go into the draft with Nick Allegretti as their starting center.
Well.
And I got that part right, because they were not going to do that. It just didn't make any sense at all. What they were able to do with Blythe, I think, is twofold. One is this something that Nate had mentioned on Times Ours that has stuck with me these last few days, is that Austin Ryder wants a multi-year deal. And the Chiefs did not want to give a multi-year deal to him, or frankly, as far as I can tell, any of the sort of available second-level centers, because there really was just the blue-chip guy and then everybody else.
Which makes sense, because if they wanted to give Austin Ryder a multi-year deal, they wouldn't have said, we're not interested.
Absolutely.
The second they said, we're not interested, the only way he was coming back was on a 1-year deal, and probably a 1-year deal that paid him very little money. Let's be honest.
On an NFL scale, very little money, for sure.
They clearly were wanting to move on, and then found themselves in a situation where they thought we might not be able to move on.
And I think that ultimately still ended up, in all likelihood, being about what Ryder wanted. If Ryder would have said, hey, I'm here to sign this 1-year deal at basically a vet minimum, I don't think they probably go through quite all of this movement. Also, it seems like there's a pretty good chance that the Rams will sign Austin Ryder, as the Chiefs have signed Austin Blythe.
That'd be pretty good.
I'll tell you what, they're going to have a new quarterback, obviously, but both, head coaches can just call their center Austin. Still be perfect. But the thing about this that I immediately assumed that was verified pretty much perfectly here is that he's making $990 grand guaranteed with about $760,000 in playtime bonuses and a team performance incentive. It keeps him under the threshold for the compensatory formula to end up getting involved. So this is a deal that Chiefs signed, who I believe at this point will be their day one starting center. They signed him, and it will not ultimately impact their compensatory pick formula. And Reed won't either, because he was released. I think the Chiefs should be good on that front as well.
I'm 99% positive that a player is cut. They do not. You don't have to give up comp picks for them.
But what they were ultimately hoping to do, I think, but if it was Ryder or Blythe, as it was ultimately Blythe, is have a center that you can put between Joe Thuney and LDT, or Joe Thuney and Kyle Long, and say, you go in there and be a competent starting center who is not going to get Patrick Mahomes killed, and also gives us the type of flexibility that if we want to draft, we're in a position to draft our Mitch Morris, who's a second-round pick, our center of the future, whoever that may be, in the second, third, or fourth rounds, we can do that and also not be painted into a corner where that dude absolutely must start week one. Yeah. Obviously, that job was not going to be Nick Allegretti's. We talked about this for a long time. The Chiefs worked really hard to replace Nick Allegretti in a lot of spots across this line. He's a depth piece. Just be fine with that. He and Byron Pringle and Ben Neiman can all be depth pieces, and you can love them. You can love that they're on the team. I'm totally here for that. But don't make Byron Pringle your number 2 receiver. Don't make Nick Allegretti your starting center. Don't put Ben Neiman on the field as your second or third linebacker.
But
all right?
Daniel Sorensen, 100% of the snaps.
He should play quarterback. All-time quarterback on both sides. But it just ultimately makes all the sense in the world. What Blythe provides is the ultimate flexibility and also a bit of confidence. Flexibility and also some certainty in the short term. Flexibility in the long term, certainty in the short term. I also am not willing to say that he's an upgrade over Austin Ryder. I think that if you allow a little bit of nuance to be sanded off here, I believe this is probably going to be essentially a wash.
Yes.
The PFF grades for Blythe has him as a better run blocker. Seth did a film review. We'll talk about it with him tomorrow. But Blythe looks like an actual better run blocker. His pass blocking grades weren't as good. Seth's not too worried about it. Ultimately, also, these schemes are different, and the quarterbacks behind them are different. I think Austin Ryder will look a little worse if he ends up in LA. I think Blythe will probably look a little better here in Kansas City, and everything will be fine. Yeah, everything will work out just fine. That's why I was absolutely fine with them bringing Ryder back if they wanted to. I'm equally fine with them bringing Blythe in. I think it's a little bit not my favorite thing in the world to be changing centers for 1 year and have a little bit of volatility there, but they'll hopefully be on the field again this offseason and get to build out that chemistry and whatnot. So I think it makes both of these moves make a ton of sense. We'll talk about them both with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
There's nothing like the sounds of your son learning to dribble, or the sounds of your daughter learning to tap dance. A local family-owned hardwood flooring specialist company wants to help you remember these sounds for the rest of your life with a quality wood floor. Acme Floor has been in business for almost 100 years and is so entrusted with its workmanship and quality of materials that KU and MU called them to build their wood basketball courts. You may not be looking for a basketball court, but Acme Floor can help you create the sounds and look you want in your home. From the floor at the Nelson Atkins Block Building, UMKC Swinney Rec, the stages at the Kauffman Center, to your kitchen. No project is too big and no budget is too small. If you're looking at laying a new floor, refinish or resurface your hardwood floors, why not call the best? Give Acme Floor Company a call at 913-888-3200. Acme Floor Company works with both residential and commercial customers. Go by their Lenexa showroom at 10100 Marshall Drive. 4-generation family owned and operated.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for Diamonds Direct. Trust me on this. Other jewelry stores do not want you to go to Diamonds Direct. And there are so many reasons why. They don't want you to see the selection at Diamonds Direct. Also, the quality. And other jewelers don't want you to see the incredible warranties and guarantees at Diamonds Direct because nobody gives you stronger protection and nobody gives you a better diamond education. And finally, there's the value. Folks at the other stores don't want you to go to Diamonds Direct because they know if you compare prices, they will not be able to compete. When you see how much more you can get at Diamonds Direct, you will be amazed. Diamonds Direct, a truly disruptive force in jewelry retailing. Bad news for jewelry stores, but great news for you and me, and for her. Diamonds Direct, at 119th and Row. Go see for yourself at Diamonds Direct, 119th and Row, and be sure to tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Love the new car smell, but think the car shopping process stinks? Check out OneRequest.com. Hi, this is Eric Westfall. We started OneRequest in Kansas City to make car shopping easy. We have over 5 million new and used listings. And with OneRequest, you don't share your personal information with sellers until you want to, which means you control your car shopping experience. We even have a concierge service for those who want the VIP treatment. Experience car shopping made easy. Request your car today at OneRequest.com.
OneRequest is not responsible for what you do with all the time you save.
Hello there, Kansas City. Stephen St. John here for Window Nation. The weather is warming up. The days are longer. Do your windows open to let the fresh spring air in? Are they old, cracked, and outdated like me? The spring rush is on for home improvement projects. One great way to improve the look, feel, and value of your home is, of course, with new windows. If you act now, you can still beat the rush, and Window Nation will give you 50% off every window plus 0% interest for 18 months. That's half off all the windows. Every member of the team at Window Nation is a window expert. Windows are all they do, from the design consultants to the quality products and trained installers. And Window Nation's attention to detail results in 97% customer satisfaction rating with over 96% of projects requiring no follow-up service. Call Window Nation today, 866-90-NATION. That's 866-90-NATION, or visit windownation.com.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. and wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Kansas City's favorite sports station. 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City.
This is Sports Setup.
Header, game one, early in the third quarter in Boston, and it's been the Dallas Mavericks who are having a garden party themselves, and they lead it 68-49 early in the third. Coming up after this game, the Lakers and the Bucks from L.A. Lakers debut of the big man, Andre Drummond, 10 p.m. Eastern for that one on ESPN and, of course, the ESPN app. Now, elsewhere around the NBA, the Brooklyn Nets trail at home to Houston, 75-67 midway through the third quarter. James Harden doing what he can to keep Brooklyn in this one. He's had a tremendous season since being traded from the Rockets. Is it enough to be an MVP? Well, here's Brian Windhorst, ESPN NBA Insider.
I think it's going to be an incredible finish, and Harden has got a remarkable case. I just don't know how the voters are going to treat that action. I mean, at the end of the day, how can you look at what he's done, the position he's put himself in, and then look at what the Rockets have done and say that James Harden didn't make a good decision by trying to force his way to Brooklyn?
Brian Windhorst on KJ&Z earlier on ESPN Radio. L.A. County Sheriff detectives say they've identified the cause of the Tiger Woods crash late last month, but won't make the reason public unless Tiger gives permission. And Buffalo trying to snap an 18-game winless streak, up 4-1 on the Flyers late second period.
Coming up Thursday, it's baseball opening day. So we'll bring in our own baseball insider, Buster Olney, for everything you need to know to get ready for the season. From over-under win totals to the players you need to watch. Thursday morning on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
If you don't make your cheek pink, you're not staying awake.
Exactly.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
No! I can't believe that liner exists.
I can't.
Oh!
It's a good liner.
Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest joins us now. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Read his work at ChiefsDigest.com. You can buy the book at last. TriumphBooks.com/ChiefsWin. I'm not even looking at the URL anymore. I just have it tattooed on the back of my wrist, and I do regret that. I made a rash decision, but I made it nonetheless. Matt, how are you doing at this point? Have you been offered the veteran minimum anywhere?
I think my entire life has been living on the veteran minimum. So,
well, if here's the thing. I think Beard thought he was going to get away with something, but then a very eagle-eyed Twitch viewer asked a question that is going to have us bring this to the table. And Matt, I just like for you to kind of be along for the ride with us on this one. Credible Hulk said,
You'll enjoy it, Matt.
I think we need to know what's so funny. Something was very funny during the break because Beards asked a question. Beards, could you re-ask the question the exact same way that you did during the break to the best of your ability with proper context and whatnot?
Which question was this?
You were running Crunch Time earlier,
yes, okay.
and you were listening to Crunch Time, and are the Chiefs interested in...
I had been asked if the Chiefs had signed Melvin Ingram yet by Frank Bowl.
That's not how you asked us.
I know, I'm getting there. I'm telling the story as it was going on.
I want the story. I don't want the story of how this came to you. I'll tell it. I'll tell it. Beard says into the headsets of me and Rudy during the break, hey, are the Chiefs interested in Melvin Ingram? And
never heard of him.
Rudy and I both go, like, yes. Yeah, he was in for a visit, like, last week. My thought was, like, is Beard's asking for an update? Because there hasn't been any news. But Beard said, are they interested in Melvin Ingram? I was like, yeah, actually, he came up in Nate's story on The Athletic today, and, we talked to Verderham about it. And Rudy and Beards went, okay, so it must be a recent thing.
I didn't say that.
You did.
I don't think so.
You did. You absolutely did. Because then I reminded you that it was a significant portion of our show last week, and also that Verderham talked about it quite a bit on Friday when we talked to Verderham. And then Beards went, oh, okay. Matt, so I ask you the question, are the Chiefs interested in Melvin Ingram?
Could be.
Now, my follow-up is, are the Chiefs interested in Melvin Gordon?
How many days ago was Melvin Ingram in town for a workout, to the best of your memory, Matt?
It was, I believe, 7 or 8 days ago.
Okay. Beard, you want to write that down? You can just make a note of that. I did note that Melvin Ingram is not a stake on Reddit.
March 24th.
Probably why Beards wasn't paying attention to us. But the thing that hurts the most is that he's clearly listening to Crunch Time, but not to this show. And I just thought that we would at least be in the same boat in terms of not getting the attention. But nope, he pays his respects to Frank Bowl and not me, which honestly, I'm just
afraid Frank will beat me up.
When I put it that way, it makes a lot of sense.
I was reminded of a great line from actor Joshua Molina on Sports Night when they had an interview.
It's got a shiver down the back of my spine. Go ahead.
And a player said something controversial during the interview, and Dana, the producer, comes in and says, "Did you hear what he just said? My contract doesn't say anything about listening to the show. I just produce it."
It's a good point. Beards doesn't have a contract. He's not obligated to listen or honestly
there's no obligation to listen to the shows that you're producing.
The only words that Beards needs to hear are the dirty ones, so he can dump them. That's really it. So, I'm trying to think of
6 o'clock at night.
Yeah, everything we're going to call it in. FCC's probably fine. Anyway, there is your follow-up for everybody who was asking what happened during that break.
You missed something, though.
Because Beard's not listening.
Because
did I miss something else?
There was a little something extra, how we talked about Reddit, and then you said, obviously, he's not on stake.
He's not stakes on Reddit. Yeah,
Because Beards has found a new Reddit.
There's a Reddit devoted to bread. It's called Breadit. It's excellent. It's very good.
I can only imagine how critical the people are on Reddit.
It's got to be brutal, right?
Yeah, that's just got to be some negativity there.
Beards, can I get an update on how your experience on r/Reddit has been?
There are things that look very delicious on there.
Like what? We're talking like chicken or...
Or is it mostly, I don't know, bread?
I mean, usually a lot of breaded things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, so is it bread? Can it be
We can't do this to Matt. We can't do this to Matt for 5 more minutes. We absolutely cannot.
No, it's just bread.
No, I was thinking I need to start a site of Breaded, which is just dedicated to nothing but Brett Beach.
Ooh!
I'm in.
Ooh! All right. Well, you know what? Here, I'm clicking the button. I want to be the first subscriber to r/Breadit, which, yes, I'm going to see if that's real right now. We haven't had a show since the Chiefs made either of their 2 recent roster moves, adding Austin Blythe, adding Jaren Reed. I know Jaren Reed spoke to the media today, as did Blake Bell, and God bless you, Blake Bell, for being there. But we're not going to talk. We're going to talk about Austin Blythe and Jaren Reed today. Of those 2 moves, I think it's interesting because the Jaren Reed deal is, I did the math earlier, he'll have the 8th highest cap hit on the Chiefs roster this year, at a position of not terrible need, but Austin Blythe comes in with a minuscule cap hit at a position of extreme need before he got added. Which one of those moves interests you more? We'll talk about them both, but if I let you pick where to start, which one interests you more?
Oh, Jaren Reed, absolutely. I mean, because that's a move that, I mean, I think people have been, obviously generally excited about it. But I think we're kind of underrating just, how big of I think one addition this is, and 2, the far-reaching implications I think that this could have across the, defensive line. Because, Steve Spagnuolo has been trying to kind of do this little positionless defense kind of thing, evolution over the last couple of years. And, and Reed's a critical type of piece of that because it's not just about the possibility that he's coming in and taking a starting spot or, coming in and supplementing what you're going to do on the interior. I think his addition is going to dramatically affect what goes on the outside and the edge, too. Because, we're talking about Melvin Ingram. The Chiefs have been interested in the edge player.
Breaking news, Beards. Hit the button. The Chiefs have been interested in Melvin Ingram. Matt's breaking news on the show. Sorry, go ahead, Matt. Sorry, Beards has just never heard that before.
Hey, if it's new to you, it's news. So,
but they've been interested in Ingram. I'm sorry.
They've been interested in some edges, and and then they lost Tano Passanio. I mean, there's going to be some guys that aren't coming back, but Reed's the kind of guy that you look at him and you look what the guy coming back and you're thinking, okay, well, who's your best edge player right now outside Frank Clark? I'll tell you what, it's Chris Jones. So to me, I mean, this is the kind of move that really, I think, would allow the Chiefs to do some of that positionless stuff that they want to do, which could include moving Chris Jones around, letting him get after the quarterback up on the outside more often than maybe just on third downs. And also just being able to free up, what teams did last year to try and take Frank Clark out, which was generally, try to run the pass in the direction of Frank Clark that forced him to do a little bit more drop back and slow down his aggressiveness a little bit. If you've got Chris Jones and Frank Clark on the outsides more often, I think that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
I mean, not just, and it makes it more difficult to double team either one or both of those guys because now you got, tougher things in the middle. And I'm not talking about turning Chris Jones into a permanent edge player because, I think he's too good to do that. But I think that's definitely in the cards now that I think you're going to see more and more of it because that's what the kind of defensive front the Chiefs have is a bunch of guys that can do a lot of different things, and there's no reason not to move them around. And Reed only adds to that because he can do the same kind of things too.
I'm finding myself kind of conflicted about some of that stuff, and honestly, I don't even know. I don't know if it's all reasonable, if none of it's reasonable, if it's somewhere in between. Because a good portion of me doesn't want to see Chris Jones taken away from the spot that he's his best at. And also, I think, and this I said this earlier, I think this is something that I would have chosen differently even 3 or 4 years ago. But if you said, hey, you can have a dominant player on the defensive line, where do you want them? I think I would say an interior rusher now over a dominant edge. They both obviously have tremendous value. If I'm picking between Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald, I'm very pleased, but I would take Aaron Donald. But I'm a little hesitant about that because I'm not thrilled about taking Chris Jones out of that sort of featured position in the middle. Also, I very much like the idea of that positionless defensive line that, especially in an obvious passing situation, lets you have your 4 or 5 best pass rushers on the field. If it's 4 dudes with their hand on the ground, if it's 3 and then a couple of blitzers, whatever your setup ends up being. I do like that because I tend to think that versatility lets you get your best possible lineup out on the field at a given moment. So, you say you don't think you don't want to see Chris Jones be the permanent DE2, or maybe the best defensive end on the team if he did that. I don't know. But where are you drawing that line? Because I'm finding myself just a little bit conflicted somewhere between Chris Jones starting defensive end week 1 and Chris Jones never leaving the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I get, the conflicted, views, but, really, if you look at how Chris Jones was used last year, I mean, he was kind of positionless as it was. Mm-hmm. I mean, he could generally basically play any of the spots that Frank Clark wasn't. I mean, that's basically how they used Chris Jones. I mean, Clark obviously was typically one side or the other. More often than not, it was on the right side. Occasionally he would also, drop out where, like Pro Football Focus would call him the linebacker at that point at a defensive end. So, it really just depends on the alignment and everything. But, Jones they've kind of used in a position to, move more than multiple spots, and especially in their third down package. And I think the third down package has been something that they've really, really liked because it puts Jones on the outside, who I think honestly has been their second best edge rusher for a long time. I mean, I don't think it's just suddenly. And yeah, I get your point. Hey, Chris Jones is maybe your best overall interior player. And I say best overall because let's face it, Chris Jones wants to get after the quarterback. That's the number one thing he wants to do. No knock on Chris Jones because he's played the run pretty well, but it's almost incidental to him. I mean, that's not what he lives for. He lives for getting after the quarterback. If you've now got some guys and a bigger group of defensive tackles, which I think they have with Jaren Reed, with Tershawn Wharton's coming up, and honestly, Tershawn Wharton's also, I think, can be a type of positionless type guy. You still have Derrick Noddy. You have a lot of guys who can play the run, and you can play in the interior. And Reed's a guy who can deal with some of those double teams and get the same kind of looks that Jones has gotten. I mean, he's that caliber of player. If you can do that and get Jones on the outside, I mean, the benefit I think that you get is even if Chris Jones is moving from the interior and you're saying, hey, he's been our best interior player, one, the drop-off to the other guys now is not that far. And two, I think there's more value in the unpredictability of where Chris Jones is
Yeah.
than him being just strictly inside. If you're a quarterback, you know, you've got to go through the checklist about where people are. And when you've got to go through a checklist now that's, okay, I got to see where Frank Clark is. I got to see where Chris Jones is because he could be anywhere. Tyrann Mathieu could be anywhere. L'Jarius Sneed might be one of those guys. I mean, that's suddenly a really long checklist. And the more of those things that a quarterback has to go through and consider, more likely things are going to go to break down. And that's the benefit to your team pre-snap that gives the edge to you before the ball even moves.
We hyperanalyze and microanalyze every one of these moves that happens, you know, when nothing else happens for a day or two around it, because that's what we're here for, basically. But sometimes I think that makes me at least kind of I feel like I need to reset expectations probably closer to the season whenever we're taking a little more macro of a view. So I'm curious what you think is ultimately fair to expect from Jaren Reed, how much he in particular will move the needle. I'll tip my hand a little bit where I'm thinking that in 7 or 8 months when we're watching football, I don't know that we're going to be talking about Jaren Reed a ton, but maybe we're talking about Chris Jones and Frank Clark more often because of some of the impact that he's having. But do you think that do you think that that's a fair starting point? And do you have an expectation right now of how much he'll individually be able to move the needle come actual football games in a billion months?
Well, I think that's the right question to ask because, you know, even though I'm focusing probably a lot on the Jones situation and how Reed impacts him, I think that, you know, the Chiefs went out and got this particular player for, you know, a lot of specific reasons, and Frank Clark is probably one of them. It's a guy that he's played with a lot. They clearly have had some good chemistry. The two of them played very well together in Seattle, and you know, and if this move helps get Frank Clark getting better at what he does best, which, you know, I think the Chiefs would say they didn't see Frank Clark's best last year. And some of that may have been scheme, the way that teams attacked him. Maybe it was just simply, you know, you got less people to worry about on the defensive line. You can put more pressure on Frank Clark. You know, if you can double team him a bit more, you can double team Chris Jones. Yeah, I mean, Jaren Reed should make it more difficult to do that. I think also, I mean, too, depth is a really big thing here because even though we do talk about, you know, some of the Chiefs' secondary players like, you know, Noddy and Wharton as being guys that can contribute snaps, and the Chiefs have been fairly deep along the defensive line the last couple of seasons, they've still been putting a lot of wear and tear on the tires of Jones and Clark.
Yeah.
And I think they would like to decrease that. So I don't think they want to be in a situation where Frank Clark and Chris Jones are playing 80% of the snaps on a consistent basis. Yeah. I think they'd like to get that rotation down a little bit, and Reed's an important part of that.
Yeah, I think that all tracks. Let's talk about Blythe some then. He was with the Rams as a guard the 2 years prior to last season where he played at center. They let him walk. The Chiefs let Austin Ryder walk, and then maybe they want him back, and then maybe they don't. Maybe he doesn't want to come back. They do that dance for like 2 weeks, and then ultimately Austin Blythe lands in Kansas City on a 1-year deal with about it's $1.75 million with everything all together. That keeps him below the compensatory pick impact sort of cutoff line, and it gives the Chiefs a center that's played NFL snaps at center before. What do you think ultimately led the Chiefs to one Austin over the other?
Yeah, interesting, because, you know, it certainly appeared that there was a lot of interest from both sides with Austin Ryder coming back to Kansas City. So when I heard and saw the news from Nate that Austin Blythe was signing with the Chiefs, I thought about texting him saying, he typed Austin Ryder's name wrong. But maybe it was the autocorrect gone astray.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to a certain degree, it doesn't make a ton of sense. Because I don't know that you can make the argument that Austin Blythe is a significantly better player than Austin Ryder. And looking at the money, I can see that maybe that being the difference, that Austin Ryder was looking for a little bit more money than that. And, hey, if you're going to go with the cheaper alternative. But, you know, that news and the contract numbers and all of that tell me that this is a bridge signing at best.
Yeah.
This is the Chiefs, whether it's insurance for 21, just simply make sure that they've got a guy with experience on the roster that can play center if everything else goes wrong, because maybe their first preference still is, you know, Nick Allegretti, play center. maybe their first preference is, that they've got a guy in the draft they want in the 3rd round that they think can come in and play immediately. If those things all blow up, well, you've got Austin Blythe. I mean, he's a guy that can play center and be pretty steady for you there. This is not, your center of the future. I mean, this signing does not scream that at all, that this is the guy for the next 5 years. I mean, this is, to me, you're right. I mean, with the contract numbers as they are, it's something you can get away from if something better comes along. And you're not paying starting money, clearly. So, like I said, I mean, if a better alternative comes along, something that's a big step up, or they do find something in the draft that they really, really like, I mean, this is the kind of deal that is just there. To me, I mean, it's kind of like I said, it's a bridge. Yeah. He could be a starter. Maybe he's a bridge to starter this year. Maybe it's a bridge to a different starter in 22. But I think that's what Austin Blythe is.
Because he leaves the Chiefs with all the flexibility that you mentioned of maybe they want to try to push Allegretti into that role. At this point, I'd be pretty surprised because it seems like the Chiefs have worked pretty hard to get Nick Allegretti out of their starting lineup this offseason. But maybe they think, you know what, we want to at least give him a chance in the competition, but it's not Allegretti or bust. We want to draft that guy in the 2nd or 3rd round. I'm personally finding myself very enamored by the idea of giving Patrick Mahomes somebody in front of him for 3 or 4 years that's just going to be the dude who's going to be in the middle of this offensive line for a long time. But also, it keeps them flexible, like you mentioned there, but it also provides that amount of certainty, a little bit of a safety net, because it's the thing they still don't have at left tackle right now, where if you're fearing that maybe Martinez Rankin is your starting left tackle or that Nick Allegretti is your starting center and there is literally like no other option at those positions, that's a terrible place to be. I feel perfectly fine about having, maybe it's the NFL's 20th best center in the middle of your line, 25th even, when you know that it's costing you pennies and that you're almost certainly going to look to upgrade either very soon or within a year.
Well, and it's notable to say that because at the same time, what degree of certainty do we have that right now that we could name the starting 5 offensive line for the Chiefs in Week 1? I mean, with the addition of Blythe, I guess I feel more comfortable about saying that maybe you know who the center's going to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that I'm 99% sure who the left guard's going to be.
Yep.
But who's the left tackle? Who's the right guard? Who's the right tackle? I'm less than 50% on all of those positions, and a lot less than 50 on probably 2 of those spots.
Yeah, and I think that as we stand right now, I think that reflects well on the right side of the line and really, really poorly at left tackle. Because honestly, at this point. And listen, you know me. I'm not the world's biggest optimist, and let everything play out and everything will work out just fine. I don't really function that way typically. But if you say Mike Remmers and Lucas Niang, and then LDT and Kyle Long are both gonna have battles throughout camp, and by the second preseason game, which will be the second to last preseason game, which we might talk about here in a second, by the second preseason game, you're gonna know here's who won these 2 battles. I think the Chiefs are going to have a really quality right guard and a perfectly quality right tackle, if not incredible, between whoever wins that battle. At left tackle, I am terrified because right now I might have a shot, an outside shot, but a shot at left tackle.
Yeah, I mean, left tackle is the one that I just circle it right now, and you're like, you're hoping, I think, that the left tackle for this team is not on the roster right now.
Yeah.
Because, the options that are there are concerning. But, honestly, and let's set aside Mitch Schwartz because, honestly, even at the beginning of the season, I think that back was already starting to bother him, and he wasn't the old Mitch Schwartz. But let's just say Mike Remmers is, you're just considering him as your returning starter at right tackle. If you get 2020 Mike Remmers again, you're okay with that.
Yeah.
That was... Hey, it wasn't necessarily Pro Bowl level, but it was competent. It was professional. All those adjectives that, maybe game manager, you would use at a quarterback spot. He was that guy. Yep. The curious thing, though, is that, especially at that right guard spot, if you put Kyle Long in that conversation, you put LDP, let's say Lucas Niang needs a starting guard, for a year before he does make that transition to tackle. Who knows? But let's say those are the 3 guys at that spot. There's question marks around all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not slam dunks in any respect. I mean, you're hoping that LDT is back is where he was when he left. You're hoping Kyle Long is back when he was on a field a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. The same with Lucas Niang. I mean, there's no slam dunk there at right guard that, I mean, you're hoping you hit on all three of those. Yeah. There's no guarantee that you're going to hit on any of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, to me, there's huge fingers to cross here at those spots. But I'm with you in the sense that I think you feel like no matter what you get, that chances are you're going to be at an upgrade at right guard. You've already upgraded left guard. Maybe center is a wash, not better or worse, just different. Right tackle could probably be just as good. Now you got to worry about the left tackle spot because that's the one spot that's not either as good or better than it was last year.
I feel like the timeline on this has moved, obviously, as we've gone throughout the offseason, and the possible options have moved as answers to this question the remainder over the course of this offseason. But as of right now, what do you think the percentage chances are that the Chiefs sign a veteran left tackle pre-draft and a veteran edge pre-draft?
Great question. I mean, I would say, I'm only going to say that a veteran left tackle is probably, I keep wanting to go down in my head. I'll stop at 18%.
That they do?
That they do sign.
Woo!
Yeah.
Woo!
I mean, because, there's only two guys out there that I think you'd say are, competent pro-level left tackles right now. And I don't know that the Chiefs are hugely interested, because I think if they were hugely interested, a Russell Okung or a Villanueva, I think they'd already be in KC.
Whoo! Okay, so I think your analysis there is perfectly reasonable. The implication is the Chiefs starting left tackle before the draft kicks off, before Trevor Lawrence is officially a Jag. The guy protecting a $500 million backside is gonna be Martinez Rankin.
Well, now I say 18% chance that they sign a veteran for the draft. I think the chances that they draft a left tackle in the first round are well above 50%.
Right.
And let's face it, there's another way that you can get a left tackle, and it's through trade. And I'd probably put a trade as equal percentage or a little bit better than signing. I mean, I can't rule out that Brett Veach isn't going to make a deal.
That's fair. It would be so very Brett Veach of him. That would go straight to the top of r/Breddit, which, by the way, does exist. And the first post on it has a not safe for work tag, and I'm not going to click it. I've learned my lesson on the internet too many times. I'm not going to click it.
Click it.
I'm not going to click it.
Do it.
Boy, that's really interesting. I hope. Okay, so I'm going to make it more. I'm going to make it more narrow here. Then, what do you think the chances are? The chances that Martinez Rankin is your opening day left tackle is 0%, right?
I won't say 0, but it's close. I mean, I'll give him 1% chance.
So, what are the chances then? Well, what would the split be between veteran starting left tackle and rookie starting left tackle for you right now?
Man, I would say right now I'm 50-50.
Where's that 1% for Martinez Rankin going, huh? Where's that? Is it because he's a veteran? I need to know.
Well, I guess. Wait a minute. Okay, because my choices are a rookie or a veteran.
Your choices are currently somebody on the roster, a veteran not currently on the roster, and a rookie not currently on the roster.
Okay. I will go 50, 48, 2.
Can you remind me what order I gave those to you in?
50% would be draft, a first-round left tackle.
Yeah.
48% would be trade, and 2% would be 1% would be Martinez Rankin, 1% Lucas Niang.
Yeah.
Other.
I just do not like the reason that the Blythe signing, Scythe. Does it rhyme with Scythe or does it rhyme with? It doesn't matter. The Austin, the new Austin in town. The reason that I like that signing is because it prevents the nuclear option of, oh God, we have to draft somebody to play this position, or else it's going to be a blocking dummy. I am terrified of the draft board falling to the Chiefs at 31 in a way that they don't feel like that day one starter is there. Because honestly, I'm not sure how many day one starting left tackles are in this draft. The answer might be one. Like, that's just a... Whew. I'm going to go back to making just that high-pitched squealing noise because that makes me uncomfy, Matt.
Well, I mean, you're right in the sense that I agree with you on the Blythe signing. I mean, that screams to me, like I said, that screams to me a bridge signing. That, and Brett Veach and Andy Reid are both of the school and the philosophy that, when you go to the draft, you don't want to be in a spot where you're doing exactly that, where you feel like you're in a position of need.
Yeah.
And because, the Chiefs have been in that spot, and I think we talked about it, through their own hand and by circumstances outside their control a couple of times. And both of them that didn't necessarily go their way. So, the downside is that you are already in a spot, I think, where unless you do make a blockbuster move or Lucas Niang has been secretly turning into the greatest left tackle in the history of mankind over the last 12 months and out of sight and we don't know about, but you put yourself that I think if you're not coming out of the draft with a starting left tackle or a guy who you feel like could be, you've made a mistake. Yeah. And that's the one position that I think you're looking at right now that, that's not just a position of need. That is a position of huge need. And that's how you end up drafting guys that you release in 2 years.
Now I got the Breland Speaks scaries. I don't like that. That was very foreboding. Oh, man.
But here's the bright side is that, even at 31, you're not going to be taking the 13th best edge rusher or anything.
Yeah.
You're going to be getting a good caliber offensive lineman. And honestly, I've said it before. Left tackle is one of those spots because it's not a boom or bust position.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
One of those spots that if your scouts find the guy that you think is going to be a left tackle for 10 years, go get him. Because that's just not a position for the most part that guys just disappoint. We talked about Eric Fisher being a disappointment. The dude was a multiple Pro Bowler.
Mm-hmm. You didn't make me feel better. Let me ask really quick.
There's nothing in my contract about making you feel better, Josh.
That's true. I'm finding that to be increasingly true about everyone around me at all times. It's really put me in a dark place, especially talking about the Chiefs' freaking left tackle position. Something that I really just did not think was going to cause me quite as much. It was not going to Samuel cause me this many problems. Did I drop a hint? Maybe I did. I want to ask you real quick about the schedule, that the NFL adding a 17th regular season game, taking a preseason game out of the mix. You tweeted more clearly than I read about how that sort of odd game out will rotate around over the course of the years. There'll be some international games, some home games, some away games, neutral site games, and all of that. What should people know about all of that whole deal getting done and the NFL adding a 17th regular season game?
Yeah, some of this is a bit of a logjam finally been cleared about these international games because those have been kind of a wild, wild west over the years, and the NFL had used those as incentives to try and get teams to play in them because, one time, you couldn't host the Super Bowl unless you played in the international game. That's why the Chiefs volunteered at one point to play an international game because they wanted to keep that dream alive. And, and the Chiefs played in a couple of them because, Clark Hunt believes in it and wants to build the brand. Well, now there's no incentives tied to it anymore. Every team's going to play 2 of those every 8 years. One time they'll be the home team, one time they'll be the road team. I do like the fact that at least it's all AFC on the road or at home, NFC the same way, so that, you don't end up in situations where that 17th game is a decider. And maybe you played a road game and your opponent played a home game in the division, and now that, the division's decided by that. So I think they implemented it as best they can for an ugly 17 number. There's going to be things I don't like about it. Records are going to fall. Travis Kelce could break his tight end record again this year.
Right.
There could be a lot of records that fall over the, the next couple of seasons. I'm going to be really ticked next year when Washington comes into the playoffs 6-11.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, you know, I'm old and crusty enough that I'll be like, gosh, you know, I wish it were just this pretty 32 teams and a 16-game schedule.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess the fact that we don't have to sit through 4 preseason games will be an improvement.
Yeah.
You know, we're fine with that. I would love to see the NFL and some of the teams. I broke down. I mean, you're going to, over an 8-year period, you're going to have 3 home games, you're going to have 3 road games, and 2 international games. And I'd love to see some teams, you know, play with those 3 home games. I mean, for the Chiefs, I mean, I think going and playing a game in St. Louis would be really big for their brand because nobody cares about preseason games.
Yeah.
But they could get a big crowd in St. Louis for a regular season game. I'd expect Buffalo to probably play a game or 2 in Toronto. If they can. Maybe the Packers will go to Milwaukee again. I mean, I'd like to see them maybe, you know, play in some of those places, but nah, who knows what's going to happen? Nobody listens to me.
I love that somebody in their car somewhere just literally screamed at you for suggesting the Chiefs to give up a home game to go to St. Louis. I think it's a great idea. I just think that the fact that someone is very angry about that is going to really lead to some awesome tweets for you and your mentions later on. But it's also a new home game. Like, you still get 8 at home.
It's all about the dollars, man.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, it probably won't happen because the way they've also juggled it out the schedule is that if you're going to play 9 home games in the regular season, you're only going to have 1 preseason game at home.
Yeah.
Which means everybody's still going to have 10 games, which means the season ticket holders are still going to pay for 10 games.
Right.
So that will be the holdout. But gosh, you know, I mean, I was just thinking, hey, if the Chiefs wanted to, I mean, especially with Mahomes, you're looking at it just the pure money and the marketing aspect of it. St. Louis is an untapped market. I'll tell you what, I mean, with Mahomes as your quarterback, you could go into places that you haven't traditionally played. I mean, Southern Missouri and Northwest Arkansas is big Dallas Cowboys country. And
you take Mahomes down there. Interesting. Yeah.
The Chiefs took a home game to Fayetteville and played at, you know, Arkansas Stadium down there. You can turn a whole generation of Southwest Missouri and Northwest Arkansas, you know, into Chiefs fans that used to be Rams or now are Cowboys fans.
I like that. Very last question. What do you call the little bugs, the light up butts?
I call them lightning bugs.
Okay, that's also what I call them. Currently, at JB Brisco, you can vote on the poll from the beginning of the show. Lightning bugs leading right now, 73.4% over fireflies, 25.9%. Something else, 0.7%. Which the other section right now includes shiny hiney bugs, excuse me. Bull bass, which is a thinker. And then also somebody said, "Did you do this poll like a year ago?" I think we did.
Yeah. We've done this
before, but my memory's not very good. And also beards. I don't know if you saw this, but the Chiefs are interested in Melvin Ingram. That could be kind of interesting. We'll let you go, Matt. Thank you. We got to talk about Melvin Ingram.
And maybe the Chiefs are interested in lightning bugs. I can't confirm.
It would be. Listen, I'd be excited about that, whatever that entails. Thank you, Matt. Sorry we waste your time so much every week. Follow him on Twitter. Pay him back for how absolutely disrespectful we are of his time. At Matt Derrick on Twitter. You can check out ChiefsDigest.com and at last his book, TriumphBooks.com/ChiefsWin. Is a great memento of the Chiefs Super Bowl run. And, I mean, the very least you could do is go follow him on Twitter and then just tweet him about places that the Chiefs should go play their extra home game. And then apologize to him on our behalf because God knows he's earned it.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
During these challenging times, everyone is talking about the Freedom Loan exclusive at A1 Mortgage. After the financial crash of 2008, we knew there had to be a better and smarter way to finance your home. The Freedom Loan. It will take years off your mortgage, saving you thousands in interest. Need cash? No problem. Need a break on payments? No problem. The Freedom Loan may be the last loan you ever need. The managers of A1 Mortgage could have any loan they want, and they chose the Freedom Loan. Why wait? Start saving thousands and getting your freedom back today. Call 816-822-8888. That's 822-8888. Or apply at mya1mortgage.com.
A1 Mortgage, making your dreams a reality is what we do.
A1 Mortgage Group, LLC, a Kansas licensed mortgage company. License number MC0001649, Missouri license number 16-1556, NMLS number 268370. Terms and conditions apply, subject to change without notice.
Hey, Kansas City, Stephen St. John here for NJ Diet. Are you still holding on to those winter pandemic pounds? Be slimmer before summer, since it only takes 40 days to lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds with NJ Diet. NJ Diet's program starts with bioenergetically personalized supplements based on your hair, saliva, and blood work. Then, NJ Diet uses DNA testing to create your ideal diet and workout regimen to help you keep it off. And if you don't want to do it alone, who does? NJ Diet is with you every step of the way. You'll be fully monitored by their certified staff to make sure you're burning fat and not just losing water. You'll also get the doctor's personal email and phone number. NJ Diet is all natural, no shots, no hormones, and no surgery. Located close by in Overland Park, or you can watch live online video consultations from home. Call 855-5NJ-DIET. That's 855-5NJ-DIET. Or go to njdiet.com and lose the weight for good. That's njdiet.com.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you. Our staff are experts in providing you the knowledge needed to make the right decision on your next car or truck. Fantastic customer service doesn't end when the sale does. Our dealership also staffs a 5-star service center with the highest rated technicians and amenities. Visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel, or online at victoryfordkc.com. Victory Ford, where our first price is better than their last.
Let's take a second to think. Are you happy with your job? Maybe it's because your job is not a career. Let's change that by joining Team RMEC Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. If you're looking for a career as an installation or repair technician, then let's talk. There's a reason why RMEC leads the way in the greater Kansas City area, and that's because we treat people right, provide professional industry training, and give our team members the backdrop of a strong brand to stand with. RMEC also provides a market-leading benefits package with a 401k plan, health, dental, life, and vision insurance, as well as paid time off. And let's not forget, the top pay in the industry. This is why RMEC is one of the fastest growing companies in Kansas City. The time to join is now. Let's turn your job into your career today. Visit www.r-mech.com to apply, or call 816-920-5955 for more information.
The DePasquale Moore Law Firm has partnered up with the Greater Kansas City Football Coaches Association to offer a free combine for rising senior football players in the Metro on Sunday, April 17th. High school seniors in the Greater Kansas City area should contact their football coach to see if they are eligible. Deadline is April 1st. It's the DePasquale Moore 2021 Combine, April 17th at Baser Linwood High School. Contact your high school football coach today. Space is limited.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
What kind of producer do you think I am?
A lazy one.
That's fair. I just marked that. I don't know when I'll cut it.
I mean,
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
There's a lot of stupid things making me laugh on Twitter right now, man.
I just realized something on Twitter too.
Yeah.
The reason why you probably didn't realize that I responded to your tweet right away is because I totally forgot for a second that it no longer says Rudy Salazar. It says Johnny Juzang Stanek.
I was very confused about who that was earlier.
Yeah, that's me.
Why?
Because Johnny Juzang is the best player in program history at 2 different Blue Bloods, Beards.
Have you watched any of the basketball, Beards?
No.
He was the.
No. How dare you show Johnny Juzang disrespect? He's the best player.
He's the fullback for the 49ers.
For the Kentucky Wildcats. And the best player to ever play for UCLA. Did Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ever get UCLA from the first 4 to the Final 4? No. Never happened.
He didn't have to because he lost like 2 games in his career there.
Happened.
The JV team was better than the varsity team when he was there. When he was on the JV team.
Did Bill Wallen ever do it? Nope.
So there was a graphic I didn't quote
Best
tweet
player
it
ever,
because
2 different blue bloods.
I really just didn't want to. I just didn't want this to be my
Sorry,
Twitter
Anthony
timeline because I don't trust people to get the joke or whatever.
Move out of the way, John Wall.
But there was a graphic with what's this guy's name?
Johnny
Kyle
Juszczyk.
Juszczyk. And it was Kyle Juszczyk, Larry Bird, and Lou Alcindor as the top. Rudy, can I just spread my wings?
Do I need to turn this mic halfway
No,
down
it's
again?
fine. It was a graphic with Lou Alcindor, Larry Bird, and Kyle Juszczyk, and it was like most points scored in one tournament or whatever for UCLA. And the tweet that I had ready to go, but didn't, was, yeah, well, Lou Alcindor never did anything in the NBA, which is true.
It's
true.
It is true.
Now, the man we're talking about did. I looked it up, Beards. Don't you look at me with that eyebrow raised.
I just couldn't remember when he changed his name.
His name. It was like, I think the UCLA year was 1967. He changed it in 1968 or something like that. I looked it up to try to split the difference because I don't believe that he ever actually played NBA if he played in the NBA as Lou Alcindor, it was for like a year, and the joke still would have, in my mind, would have worked. Kareem has, all of the stats in the world and whatnot.
Yes.
But I simply did not want to. I've made this decision
All the stats
more
in the world,
often.
except for the fact that he never led UCLA from the first 4 to the final 4.
I have made this decision more often recently, where I think that would be it would be an okay radio joke, but I'm simply not going to invite this, or even radio topic. But I'm simply not going to invite this on my Twitter timeline because it's just such a bad place sometimes that just does not allow for any sort of adjustment there.
Nobody would get it. I listened.
It would be a bunch of middle-aged dudes tweeting me about how I don't know anything about basketball, and that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, you dumb idiot. Damn it! I wish I would have just said a different name just then. It would have been so much funnier. Hold on. Let me get another pass of this, Rudy, really quick. Sorry, hold on. I didn't tweet it because I didn't. You can dump that, right?
Sure. Let me go unplug the station.
I could have tweeted that, but I would have had a bunch of middle-aged dudes tweeting me about how Lou Alcindor was actually Hakeem Olajuwon and that I just needed to learn some basketball history. Go ahead, now you do yours.
Which is funny because they're in the Final Four too. His old team.
Who are we talking about?
Hakeem. Houston.
Yeah, UCLA. We were talking about UCLA already.
Yeah. You're right. My mistake.
Houston, the famous Houston squad. The
Quentin Grimes, best player in
no,
2 other
Rudy's doing
Final Four universities.
Rudy's doing a different show than I am right now, and it's really, really challenging. What's the effing nickname for the
Cougars?
No, for yes.
Who are you talking about?
That famous Houston team.
Oh, Fight Slam Jamma?
Nope. You guys are doing a different show than I am
what
again.
Show are you doing?
I literally don't have any idea what you're talking about.
That famous Houston team, the Fab Five.
Good show.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Fab Five. And Lou Alcindor's 5 Slamma Jamma. I got to admit, it took me a long time to fully remember the phrase "the Fab Five," but it's because I watched a lot of that new Queer Eye, and so I was thinking the Fab Four. What's beyond that? I can't remember. What did they have to do with Michigan? Nothing.
How many players are on a basketball court at one time for a team?
Well, what do you think the answer is?
3.
Okay. Ooh, you can only add 4. What was your joke? Ready? Go ahead and do your joke.
Oh, it wasn't a joke. It was just on. I listened to the Eye on College Basketball.
Listen, it could be a joke. It doesn't have to be funny.
Okay, yeah. I listened to the Eye on College Basketball podcast, and Gary Parrish, who was they're obviously a national college basketball show. My point being, to add to use, he makes the joke that, that Mick Cronin's the best coach in UCLA history because John Wooden never won a John Wooden coaching award while Mick Cronin has.
Wow, what a good point.
So he's obviously the best. So his thing is #sand the court, which means sand off the name. And then people respond you idiot, John Wooden won. He's this is his job. This is all he does.
How many Cy Youngs did Cy Young ever win?
By the way, I hate to spoil your fun earlier, but you're wrong about Kareem. As says Jeffrey on Facebook.
Isn't it it wasn't a year? I looked this up.
He changed his name after the Bucks won the championship, the day after the Bucks won. He converted Islam in the UCLA.
What year of his career was that?
It was the Bucks.
Who didn't even notice?
61.
Yeah, it doesn't
61.
count.
What was I looking at? How many years have he been in the league at that
That's
point?
the second year.
What did he ever do?
Life didn't really start till 62.
Win a ring.
Yeah.
He did win a ring.
Yeah. But it was the Bucks. What did he? He hadn't done anything for the Lakers yet. But what he did with the Bucks didn't matter. It's all about the Lakers.
That was all Giannis. He was playing second fiddle.
Yeah.
The joke would have been Oscar Robertson. He was on that team.
He's a bad player.
No, I was doing it. I was doing a different joke. Credible Hulk 85 spent some of his viewer points to highlight a message on our Twitch right now, so I'm going to read it. Says you should pull a prank on the listeners tomorrow. We don't have a show tomorrow, Credible Hulk. Guys, now whenever we do have a show tomorrow, it's going to be such a good prank. Because we don't. Not only do we have a show, they can't hear this, right? But not only do we have a show tomorrow.
Our show is only from 7 to 10 tomorrow.
Yeah. We
You should not tune in at 6 p.m.
Hey, Credible Hulk, it's a pretty good idea. Don't start listening at 6, because we're not on from 6 to 10 tomorrow night.
Do you have something wrong with your eye there?
We don't have. We don't
You really
have.
need to get that looked
Do you
at.
smell burnt toast?
We don't. We don't have Seth Kaiser on a Thursday tomorrow. And we don't need to take a break right now. That's it. I was just giving you kind of a news bulletin. What were you doing with your hands, Beards?
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
Okay, so you met the love of your life. She's dropped all the hints, and you're totally committed. Now what? Come to Shane Company and get the ring. You gotta experience a visit to Shane Company. Get to the store or go online and see what it's all about. You won't believe all our ring settings. Those halo rings she's been liking on Instagram? Yeah, we got those. Classic solitaire rings? We've got those too. Whatever it is she loves in every price range, it's here. Not really sure? We'll help you figure it out. With our huge assortment of always natural, always ethically sourced diamonds, rubies, and sapphires, you'll have tons of options to create a ring that's so her. Our non-commissioned jewelry consultants will help you get an awesome ring that fits your budget, whether you come into the store or go online. You can even book an in-store or virtual appointment. We'll make sure her engagement ring is perfect. And the proposal? Well, that's where you get to shine.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
With its dedication to bringing wellness to Kansas City, CBD American Shaman is excited to announce the opening of Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness at 117th and Row in Camelot Court. Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness offers medical aesthetics and IV nutrient therapy, and there is a full-service CBD American Shaman store there too. Start your journey to wellness with Shaman's Leewood Total Wellness. Call 913-227-9150 or go to shamantotalwellness.com. Life is better with the feather.
Men, do you suffer from erectile dysfunction or Peyronie's disease? Has Viagra stopped working? Most ED cases are caused by plaque buildup, which causes blockages and restricts blood flow. Even Viagra can't get through. But thanks to the doctors at West Coast Men's Health, a revolutionary medical procedure is now available. Using acoustic wave therapy, this non-invasive, pain-free treatment breaks down plaque, restores blood flow, potentially reversing ED for good. And women, if your man has ED, talk to him about acoustic wave therapy and how West Coast Men's Health can help, regardless of age or medical history. Call 913-243-3200 to schedule an evaluation. Be one of the first 10 callers and qualify for the special $99 consult fee, normally $199. That's 913-243-3200 or online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash-out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high-interest credit cards.
Paid it off! Yes!
I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next two payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Family Leisure is having our Factory Direct sale. Looking forward to spring for patio furniture or a new hot tub? Family Leisure has factory incentives going on now. Do you want to start a new career? Family Leisure is growing and wants you to join our championship family. If you want to be the best, come join the best at Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Now hiring for sales, service, warehouse, Bobcat operators, and more. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome! This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Rudy's out of here trying to establish the dumb.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Rudy's been absolutely on this entire commercial break. I'm so angry at him. Here's a tweet I saw. You can only add 4 toppings to this burger. What are you adding? It is a bun. It is a beef patty. I am adding a slice of pepper jack cheese, some bacon, some caramelized onions, and some spicy barbecue sauce. Rudy.
Pepper jack cheese. I'm going with avocado. I'm going with some peppers, and I'm going with an egg.
Beards. What 4 toppings are you putting on this burger?
The top of the bun.
The disrespect.
Maybe some barbecue sauce if I'm feeling risky.
I thought for sure your answer was going to be 4 chicken strips.
Or like another patty.
4 chicken strips, leave the burger. And then take it all apart and let me dip it in some sauce. Wow. All right, this show's going to get way more serious next segment.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, Kansas City, it's Brian Pringle with Victory Ford at the Legends in KCK. Victory Ford is dedicated to one thing, serving you. Our staff are experts in providing you the knowledge needed to make the right decision on your next car or truck. Fantastic customer service doesn't end when the sale does. Our dealership also staffs a 5-star service center with the highest rated technicians and amenities. Visit us at the Legends Auto Plaza on the southeast corner of 435 and Parallel or online at victoryfordkc.com. Victory Ford, where our first price is better than their last.
Hey sports fans, the new 810 Fan Shop has all the gear you need to rep your favorite teams. Check out our new collegiate line and get ready for spring baseball and St. Paddy's Day now at 810whb.com/shop. You can choose from a variety of t-shirt designs and styles, premium hoodies or crew necks, and even snag something for your little KC sports fan with our new youth sizes. Looking for a baby shower gift for the MVP on your list? Check out our infant t-shirts and onesies. It's all at the 810 Fan Shop. Check it out today online at 810whb.com/shop.
You used to get excited for this time of year. Remember? Spring. The beautiful days outside golfing, jogging, walking the dogs, and playing with the kids. But now, not so much. No outdoor activity because it hurts to move. It's that chronic joint pain that you just can't seem to shake. Until now. The solution? QC Kinetics and their regenerative cell treatments. Hey, this is Stephen St. John, and these new generation treatments are the latest way to combat nagging, debilitating pain without dreaded surgeries and long recoveries. The medical professionals at QC Kinetics use amazing treatments that help your body heal itself at the source of the pain, your back, knees, shoulders, and hips. Don't watch another beautiful day go by. Get rid of the pain. Call QC Kinetics for your free consultation today. QC Kinetics, 816-412-6299, right off 435 and State Line. 816-412-6299. Call QC Kinetics today and tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Kansas City's nicest upscale golf course, the Golf Club at Creekmore, is offering a preview 3-month trial membership. Come see why Golf Digest ranks it as one of the best courses you can play in the state in 2020. And Creekmore has a great new twilight rate for golf after 5 p.m. It's only $25 per person, including cart for as much golf as you can play. Host of several prestigious events annually, such as the U.S. Open Qualifier. Play more at Creekmore by calling 816-331-2621. Your only short drive of the day will be getting there.
You can keep your grass green and lush all year long with a new sprinkler system from Summit Lawn and Landscape. Call Summit Lawn and Landscape today at 816-966-9434 to design a water-efficient system for your home and never drag a hose again. 816-966-9434. Summit Lawn and Landscape provides complete lawn maintenance, including mowing, fertilization, and landscape installation, maintenance, and design. Call 816-966-9434 or go to summitlawn.com. Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful, energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
A KC tradition since 1957 and voted the best steak in Kansas City, Hereford House is a locally owned steakhouse that has served generations of Kansas Cityans. Hereford House exclusively serves certified Hereford beef. All their steaks are aged 21 days, hand-cut daily, and grilled over an open charcoal flame. Go to HerefordHouse.com for hours, new menu items, and to make your reservations. Follow Hereford House on Facebook and Instagram for exclusive specials. Hereford House, voted Kansas City's favorite steakhouse.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Seren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB. Number 1 all day, every day. Kansas City's hometown radio station. 20 years and counting. Sports Radio 810 WHB, Kansas City. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
A genuinely emotional, touching moment completely undercut by the sloppy way we got there.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
As I was typing up a text message to our next guest earlier today to see if he had time to join us on the show tonight, I realized by the legitimate second paragraph that there is a lot that I want to talk to this guy about. Daniel Lust joins us now. You can follow him on Twitter at SportsLawLust. We've had him on the show a good handful of times previously, talk about all sorts of things going on in the spots where the sports world and the legal world collide. Also, Dan, I happen to know by following you on Twitter, again, at SportsLawLust. You can also check out Conduct Detrimental and all the things that Daniel is doing right now all across the sports law landscape. I've learned a lot by merely following you on Twitter, Dan, but I've also learned, as I said, this has been an incredibly busy couple of weeks for you guys because there have been a ton of stories absolutely pinpointed under the spotlight in the sports law world.
100%. I will say that I was looking at my schedule, which, and I'm not really like a schedule person, but busy is good. I have like 7 interviews tomorrow across the country. I'm speaking at UPenn. I'm going to an Ivy League law school. People want to hear me talk at an Ivy League. Things are good right now in the sports law world.
I think this show is a pretty good warm-up to go talk to a bunch of Ivy Leaguers. I think that sort of, again, warm-up act, we're not quite at that level, but pretty close. We made a lot of jokes about hamburger toppings last segment, and so now we're going to get you ready for Penn Law. So yeah, that feels right.
I actually think last time I was on, you guys were talking about Shaq-a-Roni pizza, so this is par for the course.
You know what? He's right.
He's absolutely right.
He is absolutely right.
I have a mind like an elephant, guys. Yeah. I got this.
And we have a show like a dingy bar apparently because we're just talking about pizza and hamburgers. So yeah, I mean, surely a match made in somewhere or other. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to you about, obviously, but the one thing that caught my eye today that this is just I guess a reflection of me not paying attention enough to some of these really interesting things is we got the NCAA's case for amateurism on a Supreme Court stage today on the absolutely most entry level of angles. Can you give us a little bit of a rundown as to what was happening today in that collision where it's a pretty wild thing for sports law to end up getting all the way to the big court, as some of us call it?
Yes, I'll give you as if we were at a bar. This is Josh. This is how I like to break it down. I like to kind of break it down into normal human speak and not legalese.
I'm eating pizza and hamburgers at the same time, and you're just talking to me at a bar.
Yeah, I'm going to take you on a trip to Flavor Town, Josh. That's what we're going to do. So, essentially, Josh, you'll know this case. The case a couple of years ago with Ed O'Bannon when he sued because he, for name, image, and likeness in video games. That's why we lost, EA Sports Basketball, EA Sports Football, because there was a lawsuit a couple of years ago. Ed O'Bannon, former UCLA star, he said, "Why is my likeness on a historical UCLA basketball team? Why is it in there, and why am I not receiving money for it?" And then that argument kind of expanded to current players, and guys that are on the cover, and it says, QB number 10 at Ole Miss, and you and I know that's Eli Manning, but Eli Manning's not getting a dime for that. So that argument basically is a strong argument for student athlete empowerment and player rights. Good and bad. Players were given the ability to get paid for the game, but the game was canceled because the NCAA didn't want to pony up and pay them. So why do I bring that up? That was a case that was decided originally in California, and it went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is it's a fancy way of saying it's an appeals court. It's right below where the Supreme Court would be. So, there's three levels of courts. There's the trial court, there's the appeals court, and then there's the Supreme Court if you get there. So, I'll say 7 years later, right around there, 2019, a running back from West Virginia, a guy by the name of Sean Alston, who I had never heard of. I'm not sure he made such a big mark, in college football. But he has a case where he's suing the NCAA. We can get into the finance, but he's basically annoyed that he can't get summer externships. He can't work wherever he wants. He can't get a reimbursement for his laptop, for his books. And he goes, why is it that I, as a college athlete, I'm the only one that can't get reimbursed for these expenses? Why can the NCAA say over where I work for my summer externship? That's BS. And where does he sue? He doesn't sue in West Virginia. He goes all the way across the country and sues in California because he knows that's where Ed O'Bannon won 9 years prior. So that's when people are curious, how did this end up here? Because Sean Alston, some random running back from West Virginia, sued in California court. It went to the same exact judge that sided for Ed O'Bannon. And then there's a fancy term called stare decisis. Basically means if you decided one way, you kind of have to go that way. So it went up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. And then sometimes you take a shot. The team that is the party that lost at the second highest court, they can take a shot if the Supreme Court takes it. The Supreme Court takes like a fraction of cases. And wouldn't you know, the first college sports case to reach the Supreme Court in legitimately 40 years, they took this weird little reimbursement of laptop case, but obviously it's a larger proposition for what kind of money can go to athletes. So, yeah, big case. I think it surprised a lot of people that they took it. But, yeah, we definitely had some huge fireworks today.
Yeah, and the thing that caught my eye was seeing and this is going to show both my ignorances and the very little that I do know, but I was seeing names that I wasn't necessarily expecting to see asking some very tough questions and kind of leaning in some very kind of, power to the players sort of directions today. What did you make of the fireworks and which ones you thought were the most impactful in terms of just sort of where the future might be heading and what the impact might be from this hearing?
So I'm going to give you a little bit of a nugget. And you guys, I think, Josh, White, you and I get along. I'm not the most politically oriented person. So I need to know enough as I need to do in politics just to not seem like I have no idea what I'm talking about. Right. But when the term Solicitor General is thrown out, I'm not going to lie. I had to look up exactly what the Solicitor General did. Yeah. I didn't think they worked in the Army, but I was told that they were a lawyer of some sort. So I looked them up. Maybe they taught this one day in law school. It was unfamiliar. But the Solicitor General is usually someone that argues, and they argue to the Supreme Court on behalf of the federal government in some sense when the federal government is involved. It's a very highly powerful attorney. And for whatever reason, the U.S. Solicitor General opted to intervene in this case, not on behalf of the NCAA, but on behalf of athletes, on behalf of Sean Alston, which sent up a lot of alarms, bells and whistles, that a federal player is coming in not in support of the NCAA, but in support of athletes. So, that's Elizabeth Preligar. She's, maybe going to be on the bench at some point in time. Josh, the bench is a fancy way of saying the Supreme Court bench, not the basketball bench.
That one, you know what? That one I did know. I did know that one.
So, she basically stepped out on behalf of athletes, and you kind of asked me where we go from here and why that might have been the case, which is a very odd thing for the federal government to do a federal attorney. And that's probably because we have this very interesting battle. If there is federal legislation to allow athletes to get paid, this is a very, very big sign from somewhere in Washington that there's some players in the federal government that are behind a federal bill. Why is a federal bill so important? Because right now, as of July 1st, athletes that play in a Florida college, a Florida University, Florida State, Florida, Miami, UCF, all those fun schools, South Florida, those students are able, as of July 1st of 2021, to make money off their name, image, and likeness. The only way that we can save, and Florida's not the only one that gets an advantage, is if all 49 states pass legislation and set it for July 1st, which won't happen, or if the federal government pops in and says, hey, this is federal law, everyone's bound by it. So that's my reading on why the federal government is sniffing around this case at all.
But then is it fair to say right now that it does not sound very likely that the federal government would step in that regard? Like, is this a relatively clear sign as to where things are headed, or is there still an avenue in which this ends up where the NCAA gets back on its feet after getting pretty well kind of tossed around today, it seemed, and they are able to get kind of amateurism back into a more legally advantageous place for themselves?
I can give you, I'm a betting man. If I had to bet, I would say the NCAA lost today. I feel pretty confident in that, but I do know, I know I did take constitutional law. I do know how the Supreme Court judges handle these type of arguments. There are times where even though they're beating up on a party, they're doing it to just really try to figure out exactly what side they're on. So they spent a lot of time beating up the NCAA's lawyer. I had a lot of fun doing a lot of GIF heavy action today. But you can. The easy way to read into it is that they're beating him up because they want to send a message to the country that they're in support of athletes being paid. The other way to read into it is, hey, they took this case. The NCAA lost at both the first and second court level. They usually don't take cases just to affirm what the first two courts said. They usually take a case to mix it up a little bit or change some of the ruling. And Alston won at the first two levels, and they really went to town on the NCAA. So is there a world, however slim, that the NCAA will emerge victorious? Sure. I mean, it's not going to end the world. It's not going to change college football as we know it. But still, if legislation is passed, federal legislation, or 50 states pass legislation, or and any state passed it, it's still going to ride. It's still going to be applicable, irrespective of an NCAA win. But an NCAA loss would be very big towards the overall tides continuing to shift towards paying college athletes.
So then this might be our last thing on this topic, and it can shift that to some of the other stuff. But then is it fair to say, so this whole deal today is going to inform what maybe the federal government, maybe state governments are going to do in terms of name, image, likeness, in terms of paying these players, in terms of amateurism. But this is not going to inherently decide anything in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, et cetera. Is that accurate?
Right. Some people had the misconception that full name, image, and likeness was going on at the Supreme Court level. It was not. It's a really boring, minute issue about reimbursing laptops. If you heard Judge Gorsuch, there was a conversation of why won't you pay these athletes $6,000 when you're making billions of dollars? And that's this comment about reimbursements, this reimbursements of $6,000. It's a relatively small case. I'm just going to give you, just because I want to leave you and your listeners just with the battle to watch out for. And I have a feeling I'm going to be getting a call from you guys right around July 1st.
Yes.
I've read it in a couple different, college football reporters. July 1st is when Florida is the only state in the country that has name, image, and likeness that they can run into effect. There's a world where the NCAA goes, okay, we can't just allow Florida to have this recruiting edge. We need to do something about it. And they would file something that's called an injunction. It's called a way to basically stop a law from coming into effect. So the NCAA could sue Florida and say, listen, we're suing you because it would basically exert irreparable harm on college sports if you, Florida, and Florida alone were allowed to have this massive recruiting edge. So if they don't do it, Florida's going to get a massive recruiting edge. There's no way around it. So, yeah, I don't really know how they get around it, short of some type of an injunction. So, yeah, I want everyone to pay very close attention to the month of June. That's when that would be filed.
Super interesting, and I feel like I understand it at a working level now, which I very much appreciate because I was working from a I read your tweets and looked at your GIFs level before this conversation.
Did you just call it a GIF, Josh?
I did. You said GIF earlier, and I wasn't going to bring it up because I thought, you know what, potato, tomato, as we say, and I would just let that one happen.
Potato, tomato. They say potato, potato.
I don't think that's
switch the first letter.
I don't think that one's true. Listen,
we say potato, potato, tomato, tomato. You got to stay consistent on your first letter.
Right? Yeah. You say tomato, I say potato. It's fine. I don't see the problem here.
We'll talk offline. Okay?
I feel
clearly you didn't go to law school, Josh. They didn't teach you that.
I feel like I'll tell you what. Whatever you tell me it's gonna be, I'll say it because I'm afraid I'm gonna get sued, and I do not know who to call if you are the one suing me. Like I just am. I'm really up a creek if that happens. All right, so I'm gonna now try to take the cannonball dive into the Deshaun Watson story here, which you may now recognize why it's been such an awkward sort of dance for us, because I feel like we usually end up joking about vegetables, and then we have to try to figure out how to make the most out of our time talking about this story. This one's been weird from the jump for me, and I'll take your opinion on this one as much as you'll give, because you get, the original sort of inciting incident of all of this seemed to be Tony Busby putting out an Instagram post with the description saying that something was coming for Deshaun Watson, these original accusations. It was very odd. And then the number of women who are coming out also accusing Deshaun Watson of similar things, that list grows and grows and grows and grows. And then today we get Deshaun Watson's lawyer putting out statements from masseuses that he worked with who didn't have any sort of problem with him, but they weren't, the same women, obviously, in any of these instances. Now we're up to talking about getting actual statements from like 40 different masseuses that he'd worked with. It's all just been, to me, as a law outsider, very bizarre. Has it also been strange to you, or do you think there's something that most people are missing that simplifies the story a little bit?
Well, from a practical level, I didn't expect this angle of it. 24 accusers come forward, and I deal with people ask me questions on Instagram and Twitter, and they'll drop in my DMs. What do I think? And I go, well, it's odd that 24 women would make up a particular story. There seems to be at least some modicum of truth, unless you want to say 24 women are making it up. But in the history of law and accusations, if that many women come forward, that many people come forward about a particular allegation, usually there's at least something there worth sniffing. And the NFL's standard for suspensions is very low, right? Like if there's some credible evidence, usually there's some type of either commissioner's exempt list trip, which could skip some games or suspensions, but I don't know, something there. But people had asked me, and I didn't really know how to answer it. Don't you think it's odd, Dan, that he got 24 different massage therapists? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty weird. Like he had no return customer, no return visits to the same people. It's a little odd. From March to March, I don't know, 2 a month, not that crazy. So then, Josh, you hit on it. Today, the news, which is the last thing I expected, that 18 massage therapists come out on the other side. So if we're doing our rough math, we have 24 accusers, give or take, maybe we're up to 25. But that's 43 different massage therapists with allegedly like one-off massages or once or twice. I know there was a new lawsuit filed today about someone that he was in Scottsdale and allegedly they had some type of massage. Like, from a practical level, I can't really make sense of that. I can't make sense of the number of people involved, not even just the number of accusers, the number of massages. And I've spoke to friends of mine on the NFL agent side. They can't really make sense of that part either. Obviously, innocent until proven guilty. And just because someone's very picky on the massage therapist they choose, that doesn't mean they're guilty of some type of crime or some type of heinous act. It's just not that normal. So that part's not normal. And Josh, the part that I've had a lot of, I don't know. I want to be impartial. The Tony Busby role of this case makes kind of my blood boil. That there is an attorney that is like falling into all of the stereotypes of reasons that people hate attorneys, and like Tony Busby just embodies all of them. So it's will I say it's odd what Tony Busby's doing? No, because people make lawyer jokes that people are sleazy and they're ambulance chasing and all that stuff. So it's not, we've heard it before, but I've never seen someone so perfectly embody all of those wrong stereotypes better than Tony Busby has. So yeah, that's just he's basically out of like central casting. Like yeah. I've never encountered someone like him.
Yeah, that is also just it's very interesting that again But saying that we're hitting a lot of stereotypes and stuff, that might be a good place to have that. One other element of this that I don't know if a lot of people understand, that I may not understand all that well, is this is all stuff that's coming through a civil suit at this point. I know there are differences in terms of the burdens of proof for a civil suit versus a criminal one, and then also what the chance to settle and what the defense looks like and everything. How has all of that impacted this story for you, and then also what both sides are working for, working against in terms of it specifically being a civil suit?
So I'll try to give you guys enough to be dangerous, just to kind of understand what we're working with. So the easiest way that I like to explain to people, O.J. Simpson, right? We had a criminal case, we had a civil case, completely different forms. Criminal cases, when you hear people say beyond all reasonable doubt and innocent until proven guilty, to make someone guilty in a criminal court, it's pretty hard. Beyond all reasonable doubt, it's like, you have to be guilty like 90% of the time. In a civil court, it's a lower standard, something called the preponderance of the evidence. It's like 51%. 51% of the time you're guilty. So to get a criminal case, the DA's office has to accept it. Civil case, anybody can file. There's no bar to the courthouse steps. So when people are like, I don't trust this guy Busby, he's filing all these cases, why doesn't Busby file criminal charges? Because Busby is incapable of starting a criminal case on his own. He needs a separate body, be it the DA's office, police department. He needs them to sign off that they think that they can get a conviction, and a conviction requires 90% of the time the guy's guilty. So there's a lot of different cases, but you need to feel really confident in order to bring criminal charges. You can't just feel 51%, 52%. The DA is not going to take the case. So right now, the only person that's vetted any of these lawsuits that have been actively filed is Tony Busby. And Tony Busby has his own issues with credibility, which I've said in a case that comes down to credibility, right? A he said, she said, consensual, non-consensual. The last thing you want is the Houston Police Department calling your attorney a liar, which has happened, right? Yeah. I mean, it was the verified Houston PD Twitter account said, Tony Busby's saying that there's an open investigation, but that's not true.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that part's a little strange, but the truth is people that are trying to figure out if Watson's getting suspended, are these charges legitimate? The first signal that we're going to see that the charges are legit is if the DA's office decides to take or not take the charges. And just so people have a point of reference of this case, Antonio Brown, who people were dealing with a number of lawsuits from him about a year and a half ago, he was suspended for a criminal physical assault that he had on a delivery truck driver that delivered his furniture across the country, and he wasn't going to pay him, and he threw rocks at him. He got charged with physical assault of a human being. It wasn't that civil sexual assault. Civil sexual assault was attempted to be positioned as a criminal case, but actually the DA in Florida refused to take that case. So Brown, he never was charged criminally for a sexual act. So we don't really have any recent precedent in the NFL as to whether a guy can be suspended purely for civil cases and nothing criminal. And, I think Tony Busby might be his own worst enemy at this point, because in the court of public opinion, people don't just want to believe this because they're, civil cases and it's Tony Busby. Maybe sometimes you'd give them the benefit of the doubt, but a guy like Busby has kind of worn out his goodwill in the court of public opinion.
I don't know if this does have any impact in terms of what the legal or the civil way of all this playing out will go, but there was the story in Sports Illustrated by Jenny Vrentas with yet another woman who said that she was a masseuse of Watson's at one point, and that SI went through and vetted her and saw the DMs from Watson's verified account and all of those things, and she has not been involved in any of these statements or any of the lawsuits or whatever. I reading that thought that became very interesting to me, because it's not in any way related to Busby. It's not in any way related to any of sort of these odd circumstances or these strange questions that might pop up, and that for me started early and have kind of, I don't know if they've sort of faded a little bit or whatever. But I reading that story, I thought, well, that's a different type of credibility there's a journalistic credibility there now. Can that play into what the civil suits might look like? Is that strictly going to be a court of public opinion sort of thing? And can the NFL use something like that whenever they're ultimately making their decisions on if they're going to suspend him or whatever his fate may be in the NFL's eyes?
So as to your last question, I don't think it makes a difference to the NFL. The NFL standard is so low, this credible evidence standard. I spoke to an agent who said it's not formally credible evidence, but if you look through the personal conduct policy, it's a very low bar.
Yeah.
And we've seen guys get suspended for basically, I remember the Kareem Hunt situation, Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Not necessarily criminal charges that resulted, but suspensions that occurred, commissioners exempt trips. So, I think the NFL is going to speak to all of the accusers, as many as they can. So whether they're with Busby's firm or not with them, I don't think that matters. But, Josh, you did raise an interesting point. This is the first known accuser who did not sign up with the Busby law firm. Mm-hmm. So this person that the SI report calls Mary basically said, I was, approached by the Busby law firm, but I felt pressured into signing with them, and I decided not to. And she's come out and basically saying, I'm paraphrasing, but my allegations maybe aren't as serious as some of the other women. He didn't force me to do particular things, but I can tell you that there is something to these charges. She goes, I haven't filed a civil suit yet. I'm speaking maybe to a different attorney. They didn't sign up with Busby. So she's not on Watson's team. She's saying that there's something funny about him. She's saying that she doesn't have a personal case, but she can see what the other victims, the alleged victims are saying. So, I think, I said if I want to give Busby credit for anything, Busby is making an argument, hey, strength in numbers. We have 20 women that are coming forward. What are the chances that we're making these cases up, right? And if 19 are true, maybe the other one's true. The problem with that theory, it works in one sense. The other sense, it's almost like a game of Jenga, like a house of cards. If you can paint down on one of those 20 cases, and they're all tied to Busby, and you could say, hey, one of these 20 women is lying, right? Just one. And that seemed to be Rusty Hardin's initial approach. Rusty Hardin, Watson's lawyer, represented James Harden, Adrian Peterson, Roger Clemens. He knows what he's doing. He came in his first public statement, attacked one of the cases and showed, submitted some evidence that this woman said it was consensual and was trying to commit blackmail, extortion, whatever. Now, that's all fun and games, and it kind of works for Rusty Hardin and Deshaun Watson. But if you have an independent woman who's kind of sitting out there saying, I'm going to hire a different attorney, maybe there are more accusers that come forward, but maybe these guys smarten up and they don't all go to the Busby law firm, which I can't for the life of me understand why people are lining up to go to the Busby law firm. Yeah. First of all, bad name, Busby law firm. You got to call it something else. But number two, the guy is just full of red flags, and I'm not really on either side. I don't want people out there, saying, hey, I'm not going to litigate the case in the press, and then litigating the case in the press. Hey, I don't know who owns the McNairs, but just kidding, they're my neighbors. I know who owns them. So, and I'm saying own the Texans. I apologize, but yeah, it's I don't know. So I think if you're in support of the victims here, I think the best thing for the case is for the DA's office to pick up the case, and people that I mentioned, O.J. Simpson. Criminal cases take precedent over civil cases because they're more serious. There's a lot more attached to them. That would basically stay and suspend the civil case if the criminal case is picked up. And then the aroma and the stench of Busby would be gone, and then we'd have that in the DA's hands.
It's super interesting. I imagine you're right. We'll talk about the NCAA at some point. I imagine we'll probably talk to you whenever we have a little more information on this as this continues to all unfold. So I'll pivot one more time. One thing that had obviously been a big story around here for a while and then kind of faded off a little bit is the entire story around Britt Reed. I know you've got the majority of the details under your belt on that at this point, as do all of us, because we spent quite a while talking about it. But one thing that I saw put the story back on a few people's radars and that I saw is the GoFundMe from the family raising the money for the 5-year-old girl who was critically injured. Had a comment about how, Britt Reed is still walking free and living his life, even as this little girl is still very much struggling to kind of just get back on track in a lot of ways. Can you just give us the Cliff's Notes version of how long it takes typically in a typical situation for a process like trying to determine and then eventually potentially prosecute a DUI that involves, critical injury like this, and if this is anything abnormal in your mind in terms of the Britt Reed story?
It's obviously a sensitive issue. I will say it's not going to go away that quickly. It's just something that's, short of Britt Reed taking a plea deal and this case just disappearing, the investigation will take some time. And I have got these questions online, and I'm happy to answer them. I've defended DWI cases. I do know essentially what goes into them, from breathalyzers, the investigation after the fact, accident reconstruction, all that fun stuff. It takes time, and people need a point of reference for sports. They need to figure out exactly what happened. They need to figure out what was in his system. There's obviously all accusations to a certain point, but it takes time. Criminal cases, you can even see, right, the big case in the news is the George Floyd case, the Derrick Chauvin trial. I mean, that took 6 months to get there, maybe a little more, and that's a really high-profile case. So this case isn't going to go away so quickly. There's a criminal component to it. There's also going to be a civil component to it because, obviously, there's injuries that occurred. So, yeah, this case is going to be hanging around for a while. Even if there is a monetary settlement, a civil settlement, it's still going to be, unless he takes a plea deal, this case is going to be kicking around for a while. So, yeah, I mean, I saw the GoFundMe. I'm keeping tabs on all the stuff, but it's definitely a messy story. And, for better or for worse, the story's going to hang around and hang over the head of the organization for some time.
That's what I figured, essentially, to be honest. It's sort of what I was looking for, that it's not abnormal for this to still be taking a considerable amount of time to be resolved and everything. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that around here as well. Daniel, I appreciate that across all three of those stories. I threw a gauntlet at you today, and you were only fazed by the way that I pronounced GIF and by my way of butchering a well-known turn of phrase, because it just felt like fun. Yeah.
Hamburgers, shakaroni, and butchering. Josh, you got to eat. You're hungry, my man.
I'm starving, dude. I got to go. We got to wrap this show up. I got to see if I can find a drive-thru on the way home. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
Good night. Anytime.
If you want to get just up to speed on all sorts of sports law things, seriously, go follow Dan on Twitter at SportsLawLust. You can check out the Conduct Detrimental Podcast with Dan Wallach, we've had on the show before as well. I obviously follow him on Twitter, and then just every once in a while I'll see something pop up from him and go, oh yeah, I either wasn't paying attention to that or that explains some element of some story. He's a great follow who, if you care about sports on the level that would have you listen to that conversation for half an hour, following him on Twitter is only going to make you better informed and more kind of well-rounded on all these things going on. All three of those stories I think are really interesting for a bunch of different reasons. We'll talk about at least one of them whenever we come back.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash-out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high-interest credit cards.
Paid it off! Yes!
I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next two payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR, FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. JLB Corporation, 8595 College Boulevard, Overland Park, Kansas.
Hey everyone, Les Norman here, host of the Breaking the Norm show. Since '95, I've made KC my home, and since then, I've seen a World Series champion in 15, a Super Bowl champion in 20, and the greatest fans supporting both. It's the people that make me proud to call KC home. You're passionate about your teams and each other. During this crazy time, keep caring for and loving each other. And thank you for making KC not only the greatest sports city, but also the most caring and helpful place to watch sports. Stay healthy, be safe, don't panic, and keep loving each other well.
Spectrum Brands, the leading supplier of hardware and home improvement, is looking for workers at their local warehouse in Edgerton, Kansas, right off I-35. You'll receive day one benefits, 12 paid holidays, and become part of a culture that we love, made up of the right people, a diverse group of people with varied backgrounds. Spectrum Brands is hiring for warehouse workers $16 per hour and equipment operators $17 per hour. Must have 6 months recent reach truck or order picker experience to be an equipment operator. Apply today at spectrumbrands.com/careers. That's spectrumbrands.com/careers. Turn your job into a career with Spectrum Brands.
What's up, Kansas City? Jake Gutierrez here to tell you about my friends from Lightstream, a division of SunTrust Bank. Are you thinking about the high interest rate credit cards you used over the holidays? I am. When it comes to refinancing your credit cards, you've got options. But only Lightstream was ranked #1 by J.D. Power for customer satisfaction with personal loans. Lightstream's credit card consolidation loans start at just 5.95% APR with autopay and excellent credit. You could save yourself thousands in interest. You can even get your money the same day that you apply. Apply today for a credit card consolidation loan from the company J.D. Power, ranked #1 for customer satisfaction and personal loans. Plus, get an additional interest rate discount. simply by going to lightstream.com/Jake. It's lightstream.com/Jake. Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 5.95% APR to 19.99% APR. Include 0.50% auto pay discount. Lowest rates require excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Jake for more information.
Harry's Razors just came out with their sharpest blades ever. But unlike other razor companies, they're not charging you more. Harry's new sharper blades are still as low as $2 each. You heard me right, just $2. How do they do it? Harry's owns a German factory that's been honing razor blades for 100 years. They source their steel from Sweden and own the entire manufacturing process, from research and development to the factory floor. It allows them to keep the prices lower. How confident are they? A 100% quality guarantee. You'll see it at harrys.com. Blades are even delivered directly to you. No getting unmasked and standing in line. They're delivered straight to your door, with or without a subscription. And right now, Harry's has a great offer for my listeners. New customers get $5 off a Harry's trial set when you use the promo code PETRO, P-E-T-R-O, at harrys.com. That's a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for just $3, plus free shipping. That's razor, weighted handle, foaming shave gel, and travel cover, all for $3, shipped to you for free. Only at harrys.com, only with promo code PETRO.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
I am a radio-doing machine at this point, where the only flaw is really my personality and technique and interests.
With Joshua Brisco.
But the technical aspect of it, I got it down.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Dan Lust for joining us to talk about everything that we talked about there. Here's the one light note before I head back into the very serious. It just dawned on me that tomorrow is opening day for the Kansas City Royals, and that was the first time that I said the word Royals on the show tonight. That was the first mention.
Opening day is April Fool's Day?
It sure is. It sure is.
So they're going to be good tomorrow.
And Adalberto Mondesi will be out there. There's your Royals update.
Also, we still need to get Rudy to eat his fried chicken.
That's true. We do need to do that.
He may stay on the
From
field
2
at
years
some
ago.
point. Like I said, this is on you guys to provide it and
You're
make
right.
it happen.
You're right. That's true. All right. I'm now diving back into the serious thing. Because here's the thing. I think that on some level, especially if you're a regular listener to this show, you know that not only do I feel like we will accept a bit of an adventure into a serious and not particularly fun thing, I think oftentimes I'm glad to get a chance to embrace that and to try to make sense of some things I think are difficult. And also, though, usually those things, for me at least, are typically coming with a lot of opinions from me, and then with me believing in some sort of value from my perspective on something. And I only sort of ask for that on the front end because we haven't talked about the Deshaun Watson story at all on this show. We've had a couple of times when I've thought, let's give it a minute and then see where we're at. And there have been a couple of times where it would have made sense to talk about it one day, but then we didn't have a show for a couple of days because of the tournament or whatever. And that's how we've ended up here on the last day of March, with me realizing, we really haven't even breached the topic. And that I think that was on purpose at the very beginning, but now I'm honestly kind of disappointed in myself for that, because I think that there's something to be said, but the other part of it is that I'm not, to this moment, knowing that we were going to talk about it a couple of times tonight, I'm still not completely sure where to land this particular plane. I imagine that either between hearing Dan last segment and then just sort of following sports over the last several weeks, you have a working understanding of Deshaun Watson has now been accused of various sexual misconduct by, at this point, nearly or directly at 24 massage therapists that he worked with. There's a really excellent story. It's a horrible story, but it's really excellently done by Jenny Vrentis on SI.com, talking to the woman that they referred to, that Dan referred to as Mary. It's a pseudonym, but a massage therapist who worked with Deshaun Watson, who had, this is sort of a tricky spot, but not the most severe of the misconducts that have been accused, but would certainly clear the bar for sexual misconduct for a massage therapist who was very adamant, very vocal about not being down for that kind of behavior from Deshaun Watson. And it has become now a very lengthy list. All the talk about Tony Busby last segment, and the reason that he's now a household name where I don't even feel the need to introduce him. He's the guy that's representing all these women. Not the SI, not the woman who did the SI story, who is at this point totally independent, which I do think matters. The whole Tony Busby deal, and the reason that I feel like, for me at least, this started with a bit of an asterisk. It was, hey, some lawyer on Instagram just accused Deshaun Watson of sexual misconduct, sexual assault, and says that there's a case coming. I've just simply never heard of anything like that. And so I think fairly or unfairly, and now at this point I think unfairly, that totally tainted the lens that I was looking at the story at the very, very beginning. From some point recently till now, I think that there's been some additional clarity. And again, I think that the SI story adds some clarity because there's nothing to gain for this woman who said something to the effect of, what I keep thinking is that he's going to get traded. And whenever he gets traded, he'll be able to abuse a whole new circle of women at some other location. That was something she talked about in the story that you can read on SI. The idea that even if Tony Busby is the world's worst lawyer and is out here chasing dollars or whatever, although everything that I've seen has been that these civil suits have been for like literal minimal money, that we're talking about like hundreds of dollars, not hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of what the alleged victims are seeking, which I think really has to take the edge off of the, they're all hunting for money kind of thing. It's just all been really odd because at some level, it seems like there is a dichotomy of either Deshaun Watson is a recurring serial sexual predator or is currently the victim of the biggest smear campaign we've ever seen for a professional athlete, at least in, American sports. I don't know about internationally, but I think it would probably stand to reason internationally as well. And those are two really, really extreme poles to be judging between. And there's some space in the middle, I suppose, for some things. But boy, not much of one. Because you could say, cause I was listening, the Le Batard show was talking about this a few days ago, and David Sampson said, well, or you could have, some truth to both of them. Fair enough, I guess. But if some women are lying about it, but a bunch of them aren't, well, Deshaun Watson is still a serial sexual predator. And if there are some inconsistencies, and if Watson's lawyer does the thing where he says, hey, this one person here was seeking out blackmail, well, that's, you may be able to do that, but that doesn't invalidate the entire sort of stack of Jenga blocks, as Dan put it last segment. So it feels like it's allowed for very little nuance because you have two very extreme possible outcomes. And to be honest, I don't feel qualified to guess as to the outcome. And I honestly, and Lindsey Jones was on the Le Batard podcast a couple days ago of The Athletic, and she said this that made me feel a little bit better at thinking that this might be true. She's honestly, I think the media has, generally speaking, handled this okay. Also, over the course of these sorts of deals, we typically don't talk about civil suits this much. It all ends up being something that, once it gets to jail time and proof beyond the shadow of a doubt and all of that, it all gets a little more serious. But civil suits often they pop up for a little bit, and then Antonio Brown, this, that, the other, and then it kind of disappears, and now he's catching passes in the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen here with Deshaun Watson. This story has gotten big enough to demand the conversation, even as I feel sort of woefully under prepared, I think, maybe. I don't know, to guess as to what comes next. Here's what I do think. I think having a network of 40+ massage therapists is really weird. I think the move today to respond to 24 massage therapists accusing you of various sexual misconduct, to say, well, here's statements from 18 masseuses that I've had that never had any problems with me, is a super weird move. It's very much, I can't be racist. I got black friends. I can't be sexist. My mom's a woman. There's very much that kind of, well, listen, these 24, 25 women have accused me of these various misconducts. Look at all these women who didn't accuse me of all of these types of misconduct. That's a very weird defense that doesn't actually address the misconduct in question. There are things, I think at least one set of DMs ended up becoming public. The SI story confirmed the set of DMs that they referenced in the story that they wrote about this woman who is not attached to any particular lawsuits. And it's just at this point, it is to use the civil suit phrase, it seems to be a preponderance of evidence that there are 24 women at least who have come forward to say, yeah, no, this happened to me too. That's literally where kind of, the Me Too thing started from. It's something that I also hope people have an understanding of at this point. I know not everybody does, but I hope most people do. It's not suspicious whenever one woman or two women come out and say, hey, I'm telling the world what happened to me is this person abused me in this way or whatever, and then a bunch of other women follow suit. That's not weird. We've seen this phenomenon many, many times. It's very, very normal for some woman to say, oh, I didn't realize that this has been a serial predator. There's something that has impacted other women who could go on to abuse others. And if I come forward and I add my name to this list, if I also bring my story to this lawsuit, then we have a better chance of having this potentially, in this case, serial abuser meet consequences for their actions and also prevent them from abusing other people in the future. That is a very okay way for these things to unfold. But it's also very, very difficult to find certainty as long as two sides of a story are saying that the other side of it is lying. The crazy thing, though, in the Deshaun Watson case right now is that I'm not even sure they're saying the other side is lying anymore. It's very, very weird to say, well, we think that this one woman was trying to get money out of us. Now in a civil suit, that's part of the game in the civil suit side of things. And also, here's all these women that don't have anything bad to say. At this point, I don't have to decide if Deshaun Watson goes to jail or not. So I don't feel a whole lot of heat on innocent until proven guilty and all that, because again, that's also the criminal standard here. At this point, I imagine that whenever the NFL has to make a decision, they're going to take all of this as a preponderance of evidence to make a decision that says, we cannot have this dude doing anything with an NFL shield on it right now. And I think that would make 1,000% a ton of sense. If you are any team that was interested in trading for Deshaun Watson before this, you simply have to freeze all of that right now. But if you are in a place where you're talking about the story, or if you are the Texans, or if you are the NFL, or if you are in any way involved in this case, you can't just wait. And that's the thing where I think, honestly, where I am not thrilled with how I have talked about this over these last couple of weeks. I think my instinct has been, let's wait until we know what is actually true of throughout all of this. Let's wait until we have more information. And we're never going to get, in all likelihood, we're not going to get to a place where we have 100% certainty. But right now, I have found myself seeing a preponderance of evidence that Deshaun Watson has a lengthy list of credible accusers that at this point, I think the least you can do is say, we got to put this dude in carbonite right now. And that's going to be his status unless something changes. I think between doing that and continuing to listen and absorb to all of the stories that have been brought against Deshaun Watson and have brought to light throughout this process, giving them their time and the conversations, which is, again, where I feel like a little mea culpa, where I didn't do a very good job of this over the last couple of weeks. And bringing those stories to light, I think, as of right now, is something that can be done as we're largely waiting for more things to unfold, for more information to come out. It's super unwieldy. It's super strange. Every step of it has been bizarre, and I think has inspired some hesitation that I'm not a huge fan of. But I also think at this point you can responsibly say there is a difference between saying we have to stop in place right here and saying we have to just let things keep going until until something changes. Right now, I think everything has to freeze in place for Deshaun Watson, for everything around him. And you've got to take all of this at face value, I think. And face value right now is, again, an incredibly long list of credible accusers that have come from a variety of places now, be it the SI story, be it all of the women involved in the Busby lawsuit. So it is really weird and very complicated, and my only way out right now is to blame Beards for the fact that we need to take a break. And then if we don't take a break, the show's never going to end. So Beards, you get the blame for this one.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already.
Family Leisure is having our Factory Direct sale. Looking forward to spring for patio furniture or a new hot tub? Family Leisure has factory incentives going on now. Do you want to start a new career? Family Leisure is growing and wants you to join our championship family. If you want to be the best, come join the best at Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Now hiring for sales, service, warehouse, Bobcat operators, and more. Family Leisure, K10 and Ridgeview in Olathe.
Awesome!
Squeaky doors, clogged sinks, finicky engines. When things break around the house, you take care of it. However, when something's off in the bedroom, you just try not to think about it. Come on, man, what are you waiting for? Take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now. Why Roman? Because you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward and discreet. Getting started is simple. Just go to GetRoman.com/JakeG and complete an online visit. Take care of your ED without leaving your home. Complete an online visit today to connect with a healthcare professional and take care of it. Go to GetRoman.com/JakeG now and you'll get $15 off your first month. That's GetRoman.com/JakeG. It's really time to take care of your ED. And remember, get started today and you'll save $15 off your first order of ED treatment.
For the latest on the Kansas City Royals, keep it right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It's exciting. Playing next to Mondi, he makes my job a little easier moving to my left. For us to win and be where we need to be, we got to be playing really good defense, and I think we have the team to do that.
I think our expectation is to win the World Series. I think if that's not your goal going into every season, you're doing this thing wrong.
Kansas City's home for Major League Baseball. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Reed Buick GMC, your veteran-owned, family-owned Buick GMC dealership in Kansas City for over 31 years and counting. The biggest rebates of the year and 0% for up to 72 months on Terrains, Acadias, Canyons, and all Sierras. Don't buy some other dealer's leftovers. We have hard-to-find 2021 GMC Sierras, Yukons, and Sierra Heavy Duties arriving daily. Reserve yours today. It will show up wrapped in plastic with your name on it. Check us out at ReedBuickGMC.com. Reed Auto Group is values-driven.
Spectrum Brands, the leading supplier of hardware and home improvement, is looking for workers at their local warehouse in Edgerton, Kansas, right off I-35. You'll receive day one benefits, 12 paid holidays, and become part of a culture that we love, made up of the right people, a diverse group of people with varied backgrounds. Spectrum Brands is hiring for warehouse workers $16 per hour and equipment operators $17 per hour. Must have 6 months recent reach truck or order picker experience to be an equipment operator. Apply today at SpectrumBrands.com/careers. That's SpectrumBrands.com/careers. Turn your job into a career with Spectrum Brands.
The IRS doesn't mess around. If they want your money, they'll take it. They can take your paycheck and bank accounts too, even threaten your home or business. Don't take on the IRS alone. If you owe back taxes, the smartest thing you can do is call Optima Tax Relief. The experts at Optima specialize in a powerful IRS tax assistance program called the Fresh Start Initiative. And their clients that qualify are saving thousands, even tens of thousands. One call starts the process to stop the demand letters, stop aggressive collection actions, and stop the IRS from targeting you. But don't delay. It's important to act now while you still have options. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Optima has already resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Get your life back. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima now for your free consultation.
Call 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642. 800-259-8642.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Twice, you've had good jokes too late. Rudy's had good jokes too early. If you guys could get your timing figured out, if Rudy had the half-second
I'm
hitch,
too lazy for that.
Here's the thing, man. If I could figure out my
you
timing...
both did it again!
On Sports Radio 810, WHB.
All right, so twice now this show is going to be about airing Beards' dirty laundry. And it's mostly hoodies and jeans, but we're airing it.
Does he wear anything other than hoodies and jeans?
As I said, mostly, I thought I've never seen Beards' calves. I've never seen him in sweatpants.
I've never seen him in a t-shirt, I don't think.
I've seen him in a t-shirt.
Maybe.
I think maybe I've seen you in khakis like once, Beards.
Yeah, probably.
How many pairs of jeans do you own? This is not the part of airing Beards' dirty laundry. I'm just now curious.
Like 4 or 5.
Is that the majority of your pants? I just feel like
yes.
I literally don't think I've ever seen you wearing anything other than jeans.
Shorts occasionally in the summer.
Some cargo shorts. Yeah. Some cargo. That's true. All right, so Beards has some khaki cargo shorts that I have seen, and calf high socks that he wears. That's not not true.
That's not true.
Cargo. No one would doubt it if I said that it was though. All right, fair enough. Here's what we're airing out at the end. I had to ask Beards this during the break, and if it wasn't worth it, I wasn't gonna say. I wasn't gonna bring it to air last segment, but it feels like the appropriate clunky outro for tonight's show. Partway through last segment, as I was really struggling to get anything coherent and maybe helpful in the Deshaun Watson situation, sort of. Detailing the fine lines of what's gotten to this point and why it's so complicated, and how you can, take all of these accusations and believe the women who are bringing all these forward en masse, but also have these weird questions about their lawyer, stuff like that, right? Really clunkily, just trying to shuffle through it. At one point, I really got even further knocked off by seeing Beards looking at his phone, fully laughing. Now, as we discovered earlier, Beards frequently doesn't really listen to the show. And that's fine, Rudy was talking about something earlier. We were talking about Jaren Reed. And did I tune out to read some tweets? Probably. Nobody's perfect.
Just disrespecting Johnny Juice.
Yeah, like whenever we just disrespected Cal Juszczyk. But that segment, I thought, boy, it might help me a little bit if I didn't look up as I'm trying to dance through all of this in a borderline helpful way and see Beards looking at his phone, cackling. So Beards.
Yes.
While I was trying to navigate these very serious waters, what were you laughing at on your phone?
There was a video that I saw on Reddit, of course, of a police department in Australia that for their April Fool's Day joke, they released the video where they were explaining they were replacing all of their German Shepherds and Labrador dogs that they use for wiener dogs in nice little vests. And they even were going to be attaching them to drones and airdropping them onto people's lawns.
The thing that really bums me out is that it sounds very funny.
It was. You want me to show you after the show?
Yes, I wish you would have watched it after the show. I wish you would have brought it up on the show tomorrow. I wish we could have laughed about it on the show tomorrow. Instead, it's our pretty on-brand palate cleanser to the end of tonight's show. But I just kind of thought tonight's show might be serious and hopefully somewhat poignant, and then just drift off in the distance and we do a better job of it tomorrow. Why now? Why did it have to be now?
Because I wasn't going to add anything to that segment. So I was just sitting back here, looking at Reddit, minding my own business.
But so like next time we have a very serious topic, just take your hoodie off and swing it over your head and dance around and just pop party poppers off and just see if you can distract me more. Well, thanks to Matt, Derrick, Dan Lust, and Rudy Salazar for all of their great work on today's show.
The disrespect!
6 to 10 tomorrow, 4-hour AES. Until then, bye, Mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hey, it's Lebo here for CertaPro Painters. You know, now is a great time to update your home. Whether it's a new look inside or some exterior protection for this harsh KC climate, there's no better place